Chapter 4498. Lin Xian retracted his palm. There was not even a crack on his palm. What was going on? The other party was unscathed from the clash of the two. However, a sage king was seriously injured. The surrounding people were stunned. Their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Yi Xiaofeng was even more stunned. His senior brother, Hurenjie, had been defeated? How was that possible? Insu was also dumbfounded. She could not believe it. Only Qin Xianer smiled. It seemed that the dragon was about to awaken. These people were unlucky. With one palm, Hurenjie was smashed into a bloody mist. Then, Lin Xian continued to walk forward. His expression was extremely cold and emotionless. Hurenjie's pupils constricted as he roared crazily. "Damn brat, how dare you hurt me? You're dead. I'll skin you alive. I'll break your bones. I'll make you wish you were dead. Not only you, but everyone related to you will go to hell." A crazy roar was heard. Yi Xiaofeng also came back to his senses. His back was already drenched in cold sweat. At this moment, he also jumped out and said, "Brat, how dare you hurt senior brother Huren? You're dead." Senior brother Huren is from the Qingqiu clan. Senior brother Huren's father and grandfather are both elders. Kneel down and accept your death now. Otherwise, you're finished. Lin Xian raised his head and glanced at the other party. There was a hint of coldness in his eyes. His gaze was like a divine sword as he looked at Yi Xiaofeng. Yi Xiaofeng was so scared that he took 2 steps back and almost fell to the ground. Damn it! He could not believe that the other party was only a sage king. His gaze was like a divine sword that was about to pierce through his body. Yi Xiaofeng was so scared that he did not dare to speak. Lin Xian looked at Hurenjie again. Hurenjie also felt his hair stand on end. He felt like his body was about to be pierced through by the gaze. He could only roar to show off his arrogance. "Brat, do you know who I am? Do you know that many elders and powerhouses of our grotto heaven are here this time? As long as they know that you're dead when they arrive." "Oh, is that so? Then go ahead and call for help," Lin Xian said indifferently. "I'll give you a chance. Call all the elders you know over." Cold killing intent also surfaced in Lin Xian's eyes. Now that his strength had increased greatly, he wanted to have a big battle. Moreover, he was a disciple of the Xintian Pavilion. Even if an unparalleled Saint King appeared, he wouldn't be able to escape. He also believed that those people would not dare to touch him. Hearing this, the surrounding people were all stunned. Even Hurenjie did not believe it. What did he say? The other party wanted him to seek help from the elders and experts? Did this brat really think that he could fight against the elders of the grotto heaven? This was a good opportunity. This brat was too arrogant. He hurriedly informed his elders. On the other side, Yi Xiaofeng also revealed a ferocious smile. This brat who doesn't know his limits is definitely going to die this time. Phoneme was also stunned. What was this sword maniac thinking? It looked at Qin Xianer and said, "Junior sister, take the young master and leave first. I will deal with the situation here." However, Xian Er shook her head. "I can't change his decision." Phoneme sighed. Why was this junior sister Qin so stubborn? She had no choice but to take out the voice transmission bell. "Master, something has happened on my side. Can you come over for a while?" It didn't take long for the voice transmission bell to return. "Su-er, don't worry about this matter. Hurenjie's family is extremely powerful. I can't fight against them." Phoneme's eyes were filled with despair when she heard this news. Who dares to cause trouble in the first hall of heaven and earth? At this moment, a cold voice was heard. Everyone was taken aback as they looked ahead. The next moment, they saw a tall man walking over. This man was handsome and wore luxurious clothes. He had many saint artifacts on him. Endless laws surrounded him as he raised his hands. It was as if a god had descended. Behind him was a middle-aged man with a white face and no beard. This middle-aged man looked like a scholar. There was a mysterious power in his eyes. "Who are you?" The man from the Flying Feather Grotto Heaven frowned and asked, "Who dares to interfere in our business?" "My name is Luo Fifan, and I'm also the owner of the first hall of heaven and earth," the man said proudly. Hearing this, the surrounding people exclaimed, "Luo Fifan, the owner of the hall of heaven and earth." His identity was extraordinary. Although it was their first time in the ancient city of heaven and earth, they had heard of this man. He was one of the 3 young masters of the ancient city of heaven and earth. His identity and strength were unparalleled. Even if they saw him, they would have to treat him with respect. The ancient city of heaven and earth had been passed down for a long time. The Luo family, as one of the 3 top families in the ancient city of heaven and earth, had a terrifying background and strength. As the young master of the Luo family, Luo Fifin's identity was extraordinary. Therefore, the surrounding people were shocked. This was one of the 3 young masters of heaven and earth. Now that they had met him, he was indeed extraordinary. Many of the geniuses from the grotto heavens were excited. Luo Fifin looked at the injured Hurenjia and frowned slightly. You guys are fighting here. Don't tell me you don't care about the rules I set? They could feel the anger in the voice. The others sucked in a breath of cold air as well. Although they were powerful, their status was still far from being comparable to the other party. Even the arrogant Vulpera hero's expression changed. He said, "It's this guy who started it. He doesn't know what's good for him." He pointed at Lin Xian. Luo Fifin looked at him. He also looked at Lin Xian. Then he said, "Did you do it?" He was twisting the truth. Lin Xian snorted. "You should know who did it." "Who did it?" Luo Fifin asked. "Those from the other grotto heavens." They all pointed at Lin Xian. "Yes, it's this guy." They didn't dare to offend Hurenjia, let alone Luo Fifin. "It seems that you did it. In that case, kneel down and cut off your hands. Crawl out of here and I'll spare your life." Luo Fifin said coldly. He didn't allow anyone to break the rules he set. Once someone broke the rules, they would have to pay the price. Lin Xian smiled when he heard that. "Why are you laughing?" Luo Fifin frowned. Lin Xian said, "I'm laughing at your stupidity. You should be surrounded by a lot of arrays in the world. Not only are there defensive arrays, but also observation arrays. You must have seen what happened before. Otherwise, you wouldn't have rushed here in the first place. Since you've seen it, you must know who provoked me first. But you still attacked me. This shows that you're not a powerful person. You don't want to offend the grotto heavens. Instead, you chose me, who has no background. But I can only say that you're really stupid." The surrounding people gasped. This guy dares to fight with Luo Fifin. Does he want to die? Even they didn't dare to offend Luo Fifin. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to walk out of Qingku and Ancient City alive. "Great. You're courting death." Yi Xiaofeng smiled ferociously. "It seems that this guy is doomed without us doing anything." Chapter 4499. Luo Fifin also smiled. His courage was commendable. "Do you know? In Qingku and Ancient City, no one has ever dared to resist me, let alone challenge me. You are the first." Speaking of this, his face became gloomy, and there was a hint of killing intent in his eyes. The surrounding space continued to fall and freeze. Even the Saint Kings felt a chill run down their spines. Luo Fifin's strength was definitely at the level of a sage king, and it was very terrifying. If such a person were to attack, no one would be able to resist. "I haven't fought for a long time, and I didn't expect that when I fight again, it would be to kill you, an ant. You should feel honored." He stretched out a finger, and the Dharma danced in the sky, stirring up the wind between heaven and earth. When he pointed out his finger, it was like a vast sea, rushing over. Everyone was pushed back, and their faces were pale. Buzz. At the same time, an extremely cold light burst out from Lin Xian's eyes, like lightning. He took a step forward and clenched his hand into a fist. He threw out a punch, like a giant dragon, sweeping across the world. Boom! This punch, with an indomitable force, tore the void into pieces. His finger was instantly shattered. Not only that, this punch sent Luo Fifin flying. Luo Fifin was like a kite with a broken string, and he directly hit the array. He fell down and vomited blood. Endless cracks appeared on his body, and his blood instantly dyed the ground red. Those people in the surrounding grotto heavens went crazy. What did they see? He actually attacked Luo Fifin. Moreover, he injured Luo Fifin with a punch. How strong was this kid? Why was he so strong? At the same time, they felt that he was too bold. He would definitely not be able to walk out of the first hall alive. Luo Fifin was injured, and at the same time, countless guards with sabers appeared in front of him. They were cold and murderous, and all of them were staring at Lin Xian. As long as the order was given, they would attack ruthlessly. The middle-aged man with a white face and no beard, who had been following him, also frowned. He stared at Lin Xian and said coldly, "You dare to attack here? Did you mean his guards? In that case, attack." He was the one who didn't know right from wrong and wanted to bully others. I was just teaching him a lesson on how to behave. The middle-aged man didn't say anything. He closed the fan in his hand, and a piercingly cold aura appeared in his eyes. Endless, mysterious trajectories appeared in his eyes, forming the shape of a hexagram. A terrifying soul power flew out from his eyes. Everyone felt as if their souls were about to collapse. This was a destructive soul aura. This middle-aged man was an expert in eye techniques. Not good. Insu's expression turned ugly, and even Qin Xianer exclaimed. Soul attacks were the most dangerous. The slightest bit of carelessness would result in the destruction of both body and soul. Lin Xian's eyes exploded with golden light, and at the same time, a reincarnation light appeared and flew forward. He managed to block his opponent's hexagram. Endless laws shattered the array formation. No one dared to approach where the two of them stood. The middle-aged man's pupils constricted and his face paled. He didn't attack again, his heart filled with shock. He was no ordinary person. He was now 4,800 years old, and his cultivation had reached the late stage of the Saint King realm. However, he had been injured previously and had fallen to the middle stage. Now, he was in Qinkuan ancient city, recovering from his injuries. Although his cultivation was only at the middle stage of the Saint Venerable realm, he was a cultivator of eye techniques. His hexagram eye technique was extremely terrifying. No one in the same realm as him could block it. This time, he chose to stay in the Luo family and protect Luo Fifin because the Luo family had saved him. He didn't expect to encounter today's incident. Elder Tong, please take him down. Suppress him. I want him to suffer a fate worse than death. I want him to regret being born in this world. Luo Fifin roared crazily, his face full of malevolence. He couldn't believe that he was defeated by an ant. This was a great humiliation to him. Only by torturing Luo Fifin could he vent the hatred in his heart. Lu Meng Daoist frowned slightly, but he didn't say anything. He didn't attack either. Luo Fifin stood up and roared crazily. Elder Tong, I told you to kill him. Didn't you hear me? He was really mad. What was wrong with him today? How dare the people around him disobey his orders? Lu Meng Daoist frowned tightly. To be honest, he was only protecting Luo Fifin to repay his kindness. However, Luo Fifin was not qualified to order him around. He could even ignore Luo Fifin's father, let alone Luo Fifin. When he, Lu Meng Daoist, was running rampant in the world, these people weren't even born yet. Of course, there was another reason why he didn't attack. He was too shocked. Although the young man in front of him was only a fake sacred venerate, which was far inferior to him. However, the eye technique just now had left him completely dumbfounded. He felt the power of reincarnation in Luo Fifin's eyes. There was only one person in this area who could control such power. He was from the ethereal peak, and he was an extraordinary person in the ethereal peak who could control the power of reincarnation. The young man in front of him was from the ethereal peak. Moreover, he was of an extraordinary status. Even if the Luo family was one of the 3 big families in Qinkuan ancient city, they would end up in a miserable state if they offended such a person. He shook his head slightly at the thought of this. If he offended the ethereal peak, he could just leave. The world was so big that he could find a mountain to hide in, and those people wouldn't be able to find him. However, the Luo family couldn't do that. The Luo family's foundation was in Qinkuan ancient city. Once they offended the ethereal peak, they wouldn't be able to escape. Lu Meng Daoist sighed at the thought of the Luo family saving him. He took out a voice transmission talisman and was about to send a voice transmission to the Luo family head so that he could be prepared. Everyone waited in silence, their scalps tingling. Luo Fifin heaved a sigh of relief when he saw the voice transmission talisman lit up. Great, it must be the experts from the Luo family. Once the experts from the Luo family arrive, this kid will definitely regret it. Ha 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 ha. This kid is dead meat. Yi Xiaofeng laughed sinisterly. After injuring young Master Luo, he wouldn't be able to walk out of the hall today even if he had 10 lives. Yin Su's face was pale as he whispered, "You two should leave quickly." Qin Xiener was also surprised. This kid was too lawless. If it were her, she wouldn't have dared to do so. However, this guy seemed to have always been like this. No matter where he was, he would always press forward and no one could stop him. Seeing that Lin Xian and Qin Xiener didn't leave, Sui Yi sighed. He had tried his best. Buzz, buzz, buzz. At this moment, another team walked in from the outside. The leader was an old man, and there were 8 figures following behind him. When these people walked in, their powerful aura suppressed everything. "Great Elder, you're here," Yi Xiaofeng exclaimed when he saw this. Hu Renjia also stood up and revealed a sinister smile. "Elder, catch this kid. I'll make him regret it." Chapter 4500. The elder waved his hand, and 8 battle servants stepped forward. Among the 8 battle servants, 3 were Saint Kings, and the remaining 5 were half-step Saint Kings. Everyone felt a chill down their spines when they attacked together. "Kid, aren't you good at fighting? Why don't you come and hit me? How dare you attack me? I'll make you wish you were dead today." Hu Renjia roared crazily outside. He could finally take his revenge. To be honest, he was also stunned by Lin Fan's strength. But so what? Now that there were 3 Saint Kings and 5 half-step Saint Kings here, no one could fight against them at the same time. "Humph!" Lin Xian snorted and turned to look at Hu Renjia. A golden light appeared in his eyes. Hu Renjia hugged his head and knelt down, trembling. "Damn it! How dare you attack me?" That elder was furious. The others were also shocked. How could Hu Renjia be so embarrassed with just one look? This kid's strength was too terrifying. Hu Renjia felt that his head was about to split open, and his soul was severely injured. This pain was worse than killing him. "Kill." The 8 battle servants saw this and attacked crazily. Their master was injured, and they would definitely tear him into pieces. The aura of the 3 Saint Kings was unparalleled. 3 berserk sabers slashed over, while the other 5 people held battle swords in their hands. They formed a sword formation and attacked. The blade light was piercing, and it split the sky and earth. The sword light flashed, and it was unparalleled. "Just you?" Feeling these people's attacks, Lin Xian's eyes sharpened. In the next moment, a cold light appeared in his eyes. From his body, power spread out, shaking the sky and earth. Then, he struck out with his palm. As soon as he used the man-ruler seal, he was like a peerless god of war, sweeping away everything. The 3 blades were instantly shattered. The 8 people vomited blood and flew backward, turning into blood mist. This strike was so terrifying that no one could compare to it. The surrounding people were stunned. Whether it was the experts of the Grotto Heavens or the people of the Luo family, they were all dumbfounded. They now knew that they couldn't measure this kid's strength by his cultivation level. This kid definitely had the strength of a Saint King, and he was close to the middle stage of the Saint King realm. Who was he? How could he be so powerful? "You're courting death." The old man from the Qingqiu Utopia also shouted angrily. He slapped out with both hands, which transformed into 2 sharp claws, and charged over. The void shattered. Like a storm, it swept towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian's expression was grave as he struck out with another palm. Instantly, the sharp claws that filled the sky continuously shattered. The elder felt a strong sense of danger and hurriedly used 3 shields to protect him, resisting the destructive power. But even so, he was still hit by it. His body was torn into pieces as he flew out, unable to stand up again. Lin Xian's strength was extremely powerful, and coupled with the fact that he was using the peerless man-ruler seal, ordinary elders would not be able to withstand it. He sent the elder flying with a single palm strike. Then, he continued to walk forward. At this moment, no one dared to stop him. Yi Xiaofeng was so scared that he knelt on the ground and kept shaking. Hu Renjia also escaped from his soul. He looked at this scene and roared in horror. "Damn it, what are you trying to do? How dare you kill me? The Qingqiu Utopia will not let you go." Lin Xian smiled. "Don't worry, I won't kill you, but I will cut off your limbs and cripple your cultivation." Those were the words that the other party used to threaten him, and now he was returning them to them. Not only did he say it, but he also did it. A sword light appeared in his hand and instantly cut off the other party's limbs. Then, he struck out with the man-ruler seal and shattered his cultivation. Hurenjia fell to the ground and screamed crazily. He felt that he no longer had any strength and had completely become a cripple. He was in despair. The Qingqiu Utopia would definitely not raise a cripple. His future would probably be worse than death. "Don't kill me. Please spare me." Yi Xiaofeng, who was next to him, also kowtowed crazily when he saw this scene. He was really scared. However, Lin Xian's expression was cold. He also cut off his limbs and crippled his cultivation. It was too terrifying. This method was even more terrifying than killing these people. Moreover, the people from the other grotto heavens also felt their scalps go numb. Previously, they had also mocked this guy. What would happen to them? They did not know. Some people even wanted to escape. However, Lin Xian's gaze swept over them. Suddenly, these people stopped and were all terrified. "We have eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. Please spare our lives." "Yes, sword maniac young master, please let us go. We will be your slaves." These geniuses from the grotto heavens kept begging for mercy. They were still high and mighty before, but now they were as timid as mice. No one dared to go against Lin Xian. Lin Xian did not say anything. In front of him, a few figures walked out. Suddenly, the world shook, and there was a great Tao flickering under their feet. Obviously, the people who came were very powerful. "Father, you are finally here." Luo Fifan laughed. "Is this person the head of the Luo family?" The other people from the same grotto heavens also breathed a sigh of relief. Not only did they beg for mercy, but they also showed a sneer. "Great, with such a peerless overlord here, the other party will definitely not be able to escape death." Luo Yuanshan walked in. At this moment, his expression was incomparably dignified. Although he looked like a middle-aged man, he had lived for nearly 4,000 years. For a sage king, this was considered a very old age, so he had found a successor. That was Luo Fifan, as the next head of the family. Luo Fifan's performance had been very good, which made him very satisfied. However, today's matter really made him very worried. Luo Yuanshan, a late-stage sage king, did not say anything after he appeared, but his terrifying aura suppressed all directions. No one dared to be arrogant, and all of them kept silent. Qin Xiener was also nervous. Such a terrifying person, even Lin Xian could not resist. He secretly glanced at Lin Xian. Lin Xian looked calm. He could not defeat a late-stage sage king now, but so what? If he wanted to leave, the other party could not stop him. Moreover, he had the Xintian order, so the other party would definitely not dare to touch him. After Luo Yuanshan arrived, he came to Lu Meng Daoist and asked something. Lu Meng Daoist whispered a few times, and Luo Yuanshan frowned even more. He glanced at Lin Xian, then walked over. Seeing this scene, Luo Fifan's mouth curved into a smile. Great. His father personally took action. This kid would definitely die. The people in the surrounding grotto heavens were also relieved. With this devil dead, they would be safe. Hurenjia and Yi Xiaofeng, who had been crippled, also smiled. They wanted to see the other party die with their own eyes. Both Qin Xiener and Insu were extremely nervous. They did not know how Lin Xian would deal with it. Lin Xian looked calm. Although the other party's aura was terrifying, his divine body was strong. However, with his divine body, he could still withstand it. He only needed an instant to summon the Grand Sage Tower. At that time, no matter how strong the other party was, he would not be able to hurt him. In the blink of an eye, Luo Yuanshan had already come to Lin Xian's side. Everyone was nervous. Chapter 4501. Luo Yuanshan spoke. Sword maniac young master, I have offended you before. My son, Luo Fifan, has eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. I hope young master can forgive him. Everyone was stunned. What did they just see? Luo family's patriarch, Luo Yuanshan, was actually apologizing. Are they dreaming? Luo Fifan was even more dumbfounded. What a joke, father. This kid has no background. He is not even from the grotto heaven. Kill him and avenge me. He is really crazy. His father is the patriarch of Luo family. Luo family is one of the 3 major families in Qingkuan ancient city. Their status is extraordinary and no one dares to provoke them. Especially now, they were in their territory. Why should they apologize? He really can't understand. Luo Yuanshan frowned. Stupid thing, I usually cultivate you in vain. He was really mad. The person in front of him has an extraordinary identity. Even if they are from the ancient city, they dare not provoke him. However, his son actually provoked him. If he is not his son, he would have slapped him to death. The other party is an existence that can use the power of reincarnation. In Piamiao Peak, his status is extremely extraordinary. To offend such a person is to offend Piamiao Peak. The strength of Piamiao Peak, their Luo family, cannot stop. After the initial madness and shock, Luo Fifan also calmed down. His eyes were filled with fear. He knew that his father is not a coward, but an overlord, devising strategies, turning the hand of the clouds, turning the hand of the rain. Such a person's strength, vision, and knowledge are far from what he can compare. Since his father is so respectful, it shows that the other party is definitely not ordinary. Some things he can't find out at all. This person's identity is above his father. Thinking of this, he was so scared that he almost knelt down. He actually offended such a person. Damn, these idiots in the grotto heaven actually misled him. Those people in the surrounding grotto heaven were even more shocked. They became desperate, one by one kneeling on the ground. Before, they were apologizing and begging for forgiveness. However, later, when Luo Yuanshan came, they became arrogant again, thinking that the other party is dead. But who would have thought that Luo Yuanshan has to treat him with respect? How could this kid be a rogue cultivator? This guy was definitely hiding his strength. They no longer dared to be arrogant. They all knelt down and kowtowed incessantly, begging for mercy. Lin Xian looked at Luo Yuanshan and said, he hoped that the Luo clan would not pass this matter to him. Hearing this, Luo Fifan's face changed. Was he going to deprive him of his status as the young patriarch? He exclaimed, Father. Shut up. Luo Yuanshan shouted coldly, then looked at Lin Xian. Young master, you're right. I understand. From now on, Luo Fifan was no longer the young lord of the Luo family, nor would he inherit the Luo family. The guards of the Luo clan were all stunned. This was a shocking change. Luo Fifan fell to the ground with a thump. His soul seemed to have disappeared. His most precious identity had been stripped away with a single sentence. I wonder if young master is satisfied? Luo Yuanshan asked again. Lin Xian nodded, then looked at the people in the surrounding grotto heavens. As for these people, I want to cripple their limbs and destroy their cultivations. Do you have any objections? Luo Yuanshan shook his head. He had no objections. It was all up to the young master. Very well. Lin Xian waved his hand, and endless sword chi cut off the limbs of the grotto heavens experts and destroyed their cultivations. He wanted to turn them into cripples. Screams could be heard, making one's scalp numb. Luo Yuanshan's pupils shrank. This person was young, but he was very decisive. He did not show any mercy to his enemies. Fortunately, he came personally and apologized. Otherwise, the Luo clan would be in danger. Young master, please come to the Luo clan. We'll definitely treat you well and give you a welcome. Luo Yuanshan invited him again. Lin Xian nodded, then looked at Qin Xiener and Yin Su. He said, you two can go back to the Green Hill Grotto Heaven. As for today's matter, don't worry. If the elders of the Grotto Heavens are not convinced, ask them to come to me. After that, he turned around and led the way. He walked out of the main hall with the Luo clan's members. At the back, Yin Su was stunned. She pinched her face and exclaimed, who is this young master Jin Qi? Qin Xiener also sighed and smiled bitterly. I can't see through him anymore. Lin Xian and Yin Su left. What happened here spread, and people from the other grotto heavens rushed over. When they saw their geniuses and experts being crippled, they immediately roared into the sky. Who was it? They had to catch the culprit and tear him into pieces. After an elder of the Luo clan arrived, he said a few words, and the people of the grotto heavens calmed down. The person who attacked was respectfully asked to leave by the Luo clan's head. Moreover, the young clan leader of the Luo clan lost his position as the young clan leader because he offended the culprit. This scene shocked the people of the grotto heavens. They knew that the culprit must be an extraordinary person. It seemed that their disciples were too stupid to offend such a person. They were lucky to be alive. Therefore, they did not dare to talk about revenge. In the following time, more and more experts entered the Qinkuan ancient city. The people of the grotto heavens also restrained their disciples from causing trouble. After all, the news of the first hall of Qinkuan ancient city had spread, and others were shocked. Such an unknown person could very well have a boundless background. If they were to provoke him slightly, the consequences would be unimaginable. Therefore, these people were cautious. In addition, the day of the full moon would arrive soon. At that time, they would be able to find out the true secret of the Qinkuan ancient city. The Luo clan was one of the 3 great clans of the ancient city. The mansion was extremely grand and huge. In a pavilion of the Luo clan, Lin Xian sat cross-legged. The laws on his body flickered, and the surrounding treasures gradually melted and were absorbed by him. Not long after, he opened his eyes, and there was a cold light in his eyes. Buzz. He took out a scroll and looked at it carefully. After arriving, the Luo clan treated him with respect, and he was happy to do so. Moreover, the Luo clan was one of the great clans here, and naturally knew more about the Qinkuan ancient city. Lin Xian asked some questions and learned some secrets. The origin of the Qinkuan ancient city was not ordinary, and could even be said to be extremely shocking. This ancient city was built by a great emperor, the Emperor of Qinkuan. In the ancient times, he was also an extremely terrifying great emperor. The Emperor of Qinkuan had 2 disciples, and they were the Qin Grand Sage and the Kuan Grand Sage. Both of them eventually reached the peak of the Great Sage realm, but they could not take another step forward and had no fate with the Great Emperor realm. Even so, they were invincible existences below the Great Emperor realm. Chapter 4502. These 2 great sages had once fought for the Qinkuan ancient city during the time of the Emperor of Heaven and Earth. The 2 fought earth-shattering, but in the end, neither could do anything to the other. Thus, they settled down in the Qinkuan ancient city. Each occupied half. It was said that later, the Qin Supreme Sage passed away here, while the Kuan Supreme Sage left in his later years and eventually disappeared. These legends undoubtedly indicated that there was something incredible buried in the Qinkuan ancient city. Otherwise, the 2 peak great saints would not have fought so fiercely. Perhaps it was really related to the Emperor of Heaven and Earth. After learning this news, Lin Xian was also surprised. This ancient city was related to the Emperor, which meant that he could break through in the Qinkuan ancient city. Thinking of this, he was really happy. Since he already knew the location of the breakthrough, then the next step was to find enough resources to break through. Lin Xian took out the map again and looked at it. At the same time, he also took out the bronze key. At this moment, the door opened, and the toad and little white flew in. Their stomachs were bulging. Obviously, the 2 of them had eaten endless heaven and earth treasures. The toad was swaying as it walked. It was really too high. This was the first time I was so satisfied. The toad burped as it spoke. Little White couldn't walk any further and jumped into the black earth to sleep. Lin Xian also threw the toad in and then set up the array again. He activated the heavenly secret god eye and carefully looked at the key. Lin Xian poured his power into the bronze key to see if there were any changes. However, at this moment, the entire Qinkuan ancient city was stunned. What happened? Countless people were shocked. They all soared into the sky. Did something happen in the Qinkuan ancient city again? Everyone felt an old sigh in their ears. What was going on? The situation had happened again. Everyone was shocked. One by one, the powerhouses looked through heaven and earth to investigate. Who was it? Some people in the Qinkuan ancient city frowned. It should not be. Today was not the night of the full moon. Why would such a change happen? Lin Xian was also shocked. What a terrifying phenomenon. There was really a sigh. He used the heavenly secret god ability to look around, but did not find out who made it. However, what shocked him even more was that the bronze key in his hand changed again. Countless runes appeared on the surface of the bronze key. They spread out and formed a spirit formation gate. What is this? Lin Xian was stunned. He had never expected such a change. Could it be that the sighing sound was because he had brought the bronze key? Then, was this the place he was looking for? Lin Xian's eyes blossomed with radiance. Without any hesitation, he placed the bronze key into the spirit formation gate and began to rotate it. There was a cracking sound. The spirit formation gate seemed to have been opened. The next moment, the entire Qinkuan ancient city started to tremble violently. Everyone in the Qinkuan ancient city was startled awake as they soared into the sky. What exactly happened? Heaven and Earth City seemed like it was about to rise from the ground. It couldn't be. Could it be that this ancient city was about to ascend and become a flying immortal? Countless cries of surprise rang out. The Luo family, as one of the three great families of Qinkuan ancient city, was naturally alarmed by this scene. The Luo family's patriarch and a group of elders walked out with solemn expressions. Sure enough, a change had occurred, and it had occurred in advance. Everyone, prepare yourselves. With a command, the surrounding formations flickered. These experts focused their attention on the situation. Lin Xian also walked out. He floated in the air and carefully sensed the situation. He wondered what kind of change would occur in the end. Outside the Qinkuan ancient city, countless people were rushing over. They had arrived relatively late, but they were not worried. There were still 5 days until the night of the true full moon. However, when they arrived near the Qinkuan ancient city, they discovered that a change had occurred in front of them. The Qinkuan ancient city rose from the ground as if it was about to ascend. They were anxious and wanted to approach it. However, that enormous power sent them flying. There was even a sage king whose body directly turned into a bloody mist. The others did not dare to approach and could only watch from afar. What was that? They saw a huge palm reaching out from the cracked ground. The palm was extremely huge. It dragged the Qinkuan ancient city and rose from the ground. The ground around the ancient city was constantly cracking open, and a huge canyon appeared. From within the crack, an even larger shadow emerged. It was a city. The Qinkuan ancient city was only a part of it. There was more underground. Countless people were stunned. They rose into the air one after another. At this moment, the area that appeared from underground was twice as large as the previous Qinkuan ancient city. The Qinkuan ancient city was already very large, like a country. At this moment, it had doubled in size. It was truly unimaginable. Did no one notice it before? That palm. Whose palm was it? It could actually lift up an ancient city. Countless shocked voices sounded. Inside the Qinkuan ancient city, everyone felt the sky and earth shake. Some of them wanted to escape, but they were also forced back by that force. Soon, they also discovered it. Some people stood at the edge of the city wall, but at this moment, a new area appeared in front of them. It had just come out of the ground. There was soil on it, and a lot of gravel scattered all over the ground. What was going on? Countless people were surprised. Those families that had originally lived in the Qinkuan ancient city were even more shocked. They did not expect that the city that they had lived in for countless years would actually hide a part of it. Now, it had truly appeared. Not only that, they felt an extremely mysterious and terrifying aura burst out from the ancient city. These new areas were not simple at all. It seemed that the secret was in these new areas. Countless people took a deep breath. When the shaking calmed down, they were ready to move out and investigate. Lin Xian was also incomparably surprised. He did not expect it to be like this. He had the heavenly secret divine eye and could see through everything. He saw a gigantic palm stretching out from the ground. However, he was unable to investigate those areas that had just appeared. It seemed that there were mysterious runes blocking everything. It seemed that he could only go there personally to investigate. After a long time, the Qinkuan ancient city stopped shaking and gradually calmed down. An aura surged in all directions. Let's go. Some people couldn't wait any longer and flew off in all directions. It seemed that they wanted to investigate. Lin Xian also took a deep breath. He looked at the toad and said, "Let's go and take a look too." The toad could not wait any longer. When it heard this, it instantly jumped out. "I'm here to hunt for treasures." Its strange cry sounded between heaven and earth. These new city areas were very cold. It was unknown whether it was because they had been buried under the ground for countless years or because of other special reasons. It gave people a creepy feeling. The ground was black, and the surrounding buildings had endless runes on them. Although they were simple and dim, the aura that was emitted was still shocking. It was truly a mysterious place. Chapter 4503. Buzz. On the deserted street, two figures suddenly appeared. It was Lin Xian and the Toad. They came to this new area and looked around curiously. Something is wrong. We have to be careful. The Toad doesn't dare to be careless either. Lin Xian nodded. Indeed, this was an ancient city built by the great emperor himself. Who knew what terrifying things there were? At this time, more than a dozen figures rushed over from behind. They were disciples of the Grotto Heaven, ancient race, and even native clans of Qinku and ancient city. After they arrived, they also looked around curiously. No one looked at Lin Xian. Lin Xian changed his appearance. These people didn't recognize him. In addition, Lin Xian's aura wasn't strong, so these people ignored him. There were so many buildings here. There might be treasures inside. Let's go check it out. Three silhouettes flew forward. There was a pavilion in front of them. It was 7 stories high and looked very simple. The three of them came to the front and smashed the door with one palm. Then, they walked in. The others also took a deep breath and prepared to move. At this moment, a scream suddenly came from the pavilion that they had entered earlier. Then, Saint Blood flew out. There was even the sound of bones breaking. What happened? Everyone here was an expert. The weakest was a half-step Saint King. At this moment, they felt their hair stand on end. Was there anyone else in this area? It shouldn't be. Even Lin Xian was surprised. Someone had come earlier than him. He frowned. His eyes flashed as he looked forward. The next moment, his pupils shrank. The others exclaimed and took 3 steps back. They were all facing a great enemy. From the broken pavilion, a figure rushed out. It was one of the 3 people who went in. At this moment, he was covered in blood. Half of his body had disappeared. His internal organs were shattered. Demon. There was a demon inside. Run. Demon? Everyone was taken aback. Before they could react, they saw a pitch-black hand grabbing onto the door frame. Then, a figure walked out. It was a black figure. It was very ferocious. There were barbs on its body. It looked like a demon beast. His eyes were incomparably blood-red. Furthermore, they were extremely large. They took up nearly half of his entire face. The remaining half was a bloody mouth with sharp fangs that were comparable to a saint weapon. He looked extremely ferocious, like a demon that had crawled out from hell. At this moment, Saint Blood was dripping from the bloody mouth, as well as some bones that had yet to be swallowed. Clearly, these were the bodies of the 2 people from before. Was it actually eaten by the other party? The faces of the surrounding people were extremely ugly. Roar. With a roar, the ferocious black demonic figure jumped out and crushed the escaping expert with a stomp. That person was a half-step Saint King, but at this moment, his body was crushed by this foot. Then, his blood was swallowed by the ferocious demonic shadow on his back. Roar. His blood-red eyes emitted an even more terrifying light. He roared at the sky, and a boundless blood aura filled the air. At the same time, deep roars could be heard from the surrounding buildings. No way, could there be more than one? The surrounding people were stunned. They saw a pair of scarlet eyes shining through the cracks of the buildings. Boom, boom, boom. Then, there was the sound of something breaking through the air. The windows of the buildings were torn apart, and then all the black demonic shadows flew out. Some of them were in human form, standing and walking. Some were like demonic beasts, running on all 4s. Some even had black tails and black wings. But without exception, all of them had blood-red eyes and ferocious faces. The surrounding people's faces were extremely ugly. They had originally come to search for treasures, but who would have thought that this new area would have so many terrifying things? Even Lin Xian furrowed his brows. Could it be that all these things had been sealed under the ground before? Now that they had been opened for some strange reason? He was very suspicious now. What exactly was this key that he had obtained? Could it be that it would release countless terrifying demons? Terrifying demonic shadows appeared around them. There were nearly 50 of them, and they firmly surrounded Lin Xian and the others. At this moment, there was already a shocking collision in the distant area, and there were also screams. Someone exclaimed. It seemed that they were not the only place. Other places also had such demonic shadows. There was even a huge battle, and some people had already fallen. Let's do it, Lin Xian roared. He stomped his foot and slashed out with his sword. The toad roared, "Get out of my way." His voice turned into sound waves that swept in all directions. The surrounding void continued to shatter as the earth rumbled under the impact of the collision. However, this building was personally built by the great emperor, so it would not be destroyed. But it was still shaking violently. Hurry up and do it. After Lin Xian made his move, the surrounding powerhouses of the grotto heavens and families also made their moves. They had all been through hundreds of battles to cultivate to this level. Even though he had been scared stiff earlier, his counterattack was extremely sharp and fierce at this moment. There were only a dozen of them, but they managed to stop the demonic shadows. Their cooperation was also getting better and better. Of course, there were also people who were injured in the process. One of them even had half of his body torn apart. Although these guys were strange and mysterious, they were not very strong. We can still handle it. The toad also heaved a sigh of relief. Lin Xian frowned because he felt that the first one that appeared was blocking him. The strength of this one was more terrifying than the others. That pair of blood-red eyes made him feel extremely uncomfortable. But soon, he sneered. "Want to attack me? You must be tired of living." Golden light burst out from his eyes, and the soul sword flew out. The pupils of the other party's blood-red eyes shrank. His soul was severely injured. In the next moment, he let out a shrill roar. Many people were bleeding from their 7 orifices, and their ears were about to burst. He crazily charged towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian was stunned. He was still alive? That shouldn't be. With his soul power and the heavenly secret god eyes, this attack would definitely shatter the other party's soul. Even if he didn't die, he would have lost the power to resist. However, the other party still charged over. Moreover, his aura did not weaken. What was going on with these guys? Lin Xian frowned. His body swayed, and he dodged the other party's attack. Then, he kicked out. It collided with the other party's huge demonic claw, and an earth-shattering sound was heard. The demonic shadow was sent flying and crashed into a wall in the distance. This guy was so strong. When the experts from the surrounding grotto heavens saw that Lin Xian had forced his opponent to retreat with a single blow, they were shocked beyond words. They felt that the other party was only a wholly venerable. Where did this genius come from? Lin Xian's expression was ugly. When he was approaching just now, he used the heavenly secret god eyes to check. These demonic shadows did not seem to have souls. No wonder they ignored his heavenly secret godchild. Without souls, the eye technique was useless. His kick just now had shattered the other party's claw, but no blood flowed out. This made him feel even more strange. Chapter 4504. In front of them, the huge demonic shadow was injured. It was extremely angry and roared as it charged over. Its blood-red eyes caused a red light to appear on its body. Another grab. This attack was even more terrifying than the previous one. Lin Xian snorted coldly and used the man-ruler seal to send the other party flying. The broken body was torn apart and scattered all over the ground as if it had turned into sand. Go! Lin Xian waved the man-ruler seal and sent all the demonic shadows flying like a peerless god of war. On the toad side, 2 of them were also sent flying. The 2 of them directly broke out of the encirclement and soared into the sky. Good opportunity, let's go. Behind them, the experts of the grotto heavens saw this scene and rushed over. However, in the next moment, they were swallowed up by even more demonic shadows. There were even 2 of them who were directly swallowed as food. Lin Xian and the others were about to leave when Xiaobai jumped out and pointed at the pagoda. There seems to be something inside. Unfortunately, I can't get it out of my treasure bowl. Hearing this, the toad was also stunned. Then, it said, "Kid, the thing that Xiaobai is talking about must be something good." Lin Xian was also surprised. He looked at the pagoda and directly went to the 7th floor. He smashed the window with a palm. After the three of them entered, they discovered that there was actually a skeleton sitting there. There was no flesh on it, but there was a heart in his hand. It was the will of a sage king, and it seemed to be the will of a peak sage king. The toad exclaimed. This thing contained endless great Tao of heaven and earth. It was very helpful for one's comprehension of the great Tao. Lin Xian's eyes lit up instantly. He had obtained the will of a sage king before, and it was indeed helpful to the great Tao. He didn't expect to encounter such a thing here this time. Kid, hurry up and take it away. The toad couldn't wait. However, at this moment, there was the sound of wind breaking behind them. In an instant, the void behind them was torn apart, and they were nearby. A powerful aura suppressed everything. The toad was stunned. Lin Xian also turned his head to look. Many figures descended from the sky and floated in the void. These people had lofty horns on their heads and wings of laws on their backs. When they flapped their wings, they brought about a strange storm of laws. Lin Xian from the flying feather grotto heaven frowned slightly. The law wings on his back were the symbol of the flying feather grotto heaven. The man in the lead had a pair of green laws behind his back. Great Tao interweaved on the wings, making them look extremely mysterious. Right now, he was standing in the air, his eyes able to see through everything. He looked at the heart of the Sage King with a smile on his face. Looks like my luck is pretty good. I've just arrived and I've already found a good treasure. In other words, it seemed that the Sage King's will was already his. What was the meaning of this? Are you blind? Can't you see that we're here first? The toad snorted coldly. These people were too arrogant. No, they were too arrogant. A toad dares to be arrogant in front of us? Get out of here. Someone stood out and shouted coldly. This person exuded the aura of a sage ruler. F***CK. Do you believe that I won't slap you to death? The toad was also enraged. Lin Xian looked ahead. In front of him, there were a total of 12 figures. Among them, there were actually 5 to 6 figures who had reached the Sage King realm, especially the one in the lead. His aura was extremely cold. He was an extremely terrifying existence in the early stage of the Sage King realm. Such a powerful team could indeed suppress everything. But to meet him? I'm afraid it's not enough. You're courting death. The Sage King who stood out roared angrily. The fiery red wings on his back directly slashed down. Like a flaming heavenly blade, it slashed towards the toad. The people from the other grotto heavens also laughed. A toad. It couldn't even withstand a single blow. The toad was furious. He didn't dodge and directly jumped up. Divine Toad Palm. He slapped out his claws and hit the flaming wings, causing the wings to tremble and dim. The flames on them were extinguished. The Sage King retreated and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was filled with shock. The people around him also couldn't believe it. Could it be that this toad was a Sage King realm beast? Damn it! The injured Sage King still wanted to attack. He was simply embarrassed to be injured by a toad. But at this moment, the leader, Qing Ci, waved his hand and stopped him. Junior brother, don't be rude. The injured Sage King could only grit his teeth and stop unwillingly. Qing Ci raised his head and looked at the toad, then looked at Lin Xian. The corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. I'm Qing Ci. These are all my fellow disciples. We're from the Flying Feather Grotto Heaven. Can the two of you give me face and leave this place? Give me the Sage King's will. Although it was a discussion, his words were unquestionable. The people behind him also laughed. They had such a powerful lineup, 5 Sage Kings. As long as the other party wasn't a fool, they definitely wouldn't attack again. You want us to give up with just a few words? The toad was furious. Come, come, come. I'll teach you how to be a person. He wanted to attack. However, Lin Xian held him down and then smiled. All right, I'll give it to you. What's going on? The toad was stunned. Are you sure? This wasn't Lin Xian's style. Lin Xian smiled mysteriously and then sent a voice transmission. Let's go. It's not safe here. Let them attack first. After the toad heard this, it immediately grinned. Good boy. So the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Interesting. The toad snorted coldly. Today, I'll give in to you. After speaking, he directly jumped out. Lin Xian's figure also swayed, and he soared into the sky. However, Little White, who was on his shoulder, had already disappeared. Very good. The corners of Qing Si's mouth curled up into a smile. The others also smiled. As expected, with such a powerful lineup, no one dared to fight against them. The group of people landed on the 7th floor of the pagoda. Looking at the Sage King's will in front of them, their eyes emitted a fiery red light. At this moment, Qing Si said, "Junior brothers, this Sage King's will, can you give it to me? As for your losses, I'll use other treasures to compensate you." The pupils of the two Sage Kings constricted. A hint of unwillingness appeared in their eyes. This was also a very important thing to them. It was very helpful to their comprehension of the Great Tao. However, the other 3 Sage Kings smiled and said, "Of course, we won't fight with senior brother Qing Si." The other half-step Sage Kings naturally didn't dare to say anything. The 2 Sage Kings looked at each other and sighed. They didn't resist. Forget it. After thinking about it, the other party would probably use other treasures to make up for their losses after returning. "Thank you, junior brothers. I won't stand on ceremony." There was a satisfied smile on Qing Si's face. He flew to the front and grabbed towards the Sage King's will. He was about to grab it. However, at this moment, a blood-red light suddenly burst out from the white bone's eye sockets. Immediately after, the bones in his body cracked, and a black claw slapped over. Chapter 4505. Boom. The sky fell, and the earth cracked. Qing Si was pierced through. His heart had been crushed. He was severely injured. Damn it, there was a trap. Oh no, help senior brother. The others shouted angrily and attacked with their divine abilities. They attacked the Black Claw. The claw tore open the void, and a demonic shadow walked out again. With a roar, he charged out. Damn it, kill him for me. Qing Si shouted angrily. The treasure was right in front of him, but he fell into a trap. He couldn't stand it. His broken heart healed, and his body emitted a green light. A wind blade flew out and swept through the 9 heavens. He attacked aggressively, and at the same time, he looked at the white bone that was sitting cross-legged. "This," he cried out in surprise. The Holy King's will in the white bone palm was swept away by a white light and disappeared. Damn it, where do you think you're going? He attacked the void with a terrifying wind thorn. However, it hit nothing but the void. The white figure had long disappeared, and the Holy King's will disappeared at the same time. Damn it, was it snatched away? Damn it, who was it? Qing Si roared. He felt that he had been tricked. He wanted to find out who dared to plot against him. However, the black storm rushed over and turned into claws that covered the sky, enveloping him. He could only fight with all his strength. This time, the black demonic shadow was unusually terrifying. However, they had more people, and 5 Holy Kings were still able to deal with it. However, at this moment, another low roar was heard. Then, another palm stretched out from the white bone, and a second demonic shadow appeared. Oh no! Qing Si and the others were in despair. They were afraid that they were in danger with 2 demonic shadows. To their surprise, the second demonic shadow only let out a roar and tore open the void and disappeared. In the distant void, Lin Xian and the toad stood there and waited. Little White returned with the Holy King's will in his hand. Great! Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. The toad also laughed heartily. Little guy, well done. Little White's big eyes narrowed into crescent moons. Boom! Suddenly, a palm shattered the void and enveloped him. Little White disappeared instantly, and when he reappeared, he was already on Lin Xian's shoulder. Who is it? Lin Xian roared. The toad also roared. Who was it? You dare to hit something that this great master has his eyes on? The 2 of them looked ahead. The void in front of him shattered, and a black demonic figure walked out again. Not good, they actually chased after him. Damn it, aren't these guys too strong? Lin Xian frowned. The toad was also astonished. Brat, be careful. This one seemed to be even more terrifying than the previous ones. Lin Xian took a deep breath and let Little White enter the great sage tower first. His eyes shone with an extremely cold light. Streaks of golden light emerged from his body, as if he had transformed into the sun war god. Roar! The demonic shadow in front didn't say anything. It opened its mouth and roared. A black storm flew towards Lin Xian. It turned into a crescent of light and descended from the sky. Fight! Lin Xian coldly harumphed. He formed a seal with his palm, the man-ruler seal, and slapped out. At the same time, in the surroundings, the 10 ultimate sword formation was activated. The sword lights that filled the sky poured down like a rainstorm. The toad also moved out. Divine Toad Pomshi was like a ghost, attacking from behind. With a clang, she slapped the other party's back, causing the other party to tremble and almost fall. Only some cracks appeared on the other party's body, but it didn't shatter. F***CK. So strong? The toad was surprised. This guy had the cultivation of a mid-stage Holy King. The toad had also reached the Holy King realm. An ordinary early-stage Holy King would definitely be torn apart under this palm. But the other party withstood it. Lin Xian frowned. The man-ruler seal hit the other party's body and sent him flying. Cracks also appeared on the other party's body, but it didn't shatter. The demonic figure roared, and a terrifying red light burst out from his eyes. At the same time, there was a black aura in his body that spread out. The surrounding void kept shattering. How terrifying! This guy could actually increase his strength. The toad exclaimed. What the hell was this? Lin Xian said that it wasn't demonic qi. He had the Great Destruction Spear, so he could naturally feel the powerful demonic qi. This wasn't demonic qi. Instead, it was a bit like his law of death. What the other party used was a cold aura of death. Boom! A terrifying vibration sounded, and a wave of power swept out. Lin Xian used his divine body to block. The toad was blown away and cried out in pain. F***CK. It hurts so much. Kid, hurry up and kill him. Buzz. Lin Xian's figure swayed, and the great Tao spread under his feet. Endless sword shadows appeared in his hand. Sword qi overflowed, and 10 types of law swept through everything. It completely destroyed that terrifying aura of death. Buzz. The demonic figure was forced back, and he roared again and again. An extremely terrifying light burst out from his red eyes. He flew out and charged towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian blocked. With a clang, the sword qi shook, and he was forced back. His entire arm was numb. Humph! Lin Xian was completely enraged. He slapped out with the man-ruler seal, and a terrifying power slammed into the other party's body. The demonic figure was sent flying. Before he could stand up, a huge mountain pressed down from the sky. The mountain-embracing seal had completely suppressed the other party. It was settled. The toad flew over. This kid was good. His strength was getting stronger and stronger. He could even suppress a mid-stage Holy King. However, Lin Xian frowned. He realized that something was wrong. Although he held the mountain and suppressed the other party roared crazily. The power in his body surged as if he was going to carry the ancient mountain. With a roar, the ground split open and the void shattered. The ancient demonic mountain was actually carried by him. Too strong. The difference in strength between a mid-stage Holy King and an early-stage Holy King was more than 10 times. A mid-stage Holy King could kill an early-stage Holy King with a single punch. He had absolute strength to suppress. Only Lin Xian had the great dragon sword soul, and the divine body could cross 2 realms to contend against him. But even so, he couldn't immediately suppress the other party. The demonic figure was truly incomparably terrifying. The toad's scalp also went numb. He thought of something and said with a pale face, "Damn it, this couldn't be something from the 9 Nether Underworld, right?" "What do you know?" Lin Xian asked. As the toad dodged, it said, "Let's deal with him first." "I know. This guy's defense is very strong. I'll break through his defense later. Take the opportunity to attack and attack his vital points. You must shatter his body." Lin Xian waved his hand. The dragon roared in his body, and the dragon-shaped sword energy flew out. It could destroy everything. The demonic figure's body was strong, but under the dragon's sword chi, cracks appeared. There was no blood, but it was indeed shocking. The toad seized the opportunity and used it crazily. Divine Toad Fist. His body grew larger, turning into a huge monster. With a palm, he blasted the other party into pieces. Under the attacks of the two, they finally killed the other party. It was finally settled. The toad's body was like a mountain. It quickly shrank and finally became the size of a palm. It jumped up again. It really wasn't easy. If you didn't have the great dragon sword soul, it would be very troublesome to kill this thing. Chapter 4506. Lin Xian also frowned slightly. These things were too troublesome. Not only were there many of them, but they were also very powerful. The slightest carelessness could lead to death. His guess was right. Many geniuses and experts had already died in other places. Fortunately, although it was dangerous, their harvest was quite bountiful. Lin Xian summoned Little White. Little White held the sage monarch's will and squinted its eyes. Lin Xian took it and slashed out with sword chi, splitting the sage monarch's will into 3 pieces. He took one piece and gave the other 2 to the toad and Little White. Lin Xian held the piece of sage monarch's will and asked while absorbing it, "Toad, what do you know? What is the 9 nether underworld you mentioned? I think you should have heard of it when you were in the true spirit world, the human realm, the underworld, and the heavenly court. You have already seen the human realm. The underworld and the heavenly court are the other 2 mysterious existences. They are not weaker than the human realm. They had existed since ancient times. No one knew exactly where they were, and no one knew who was in their organization. We only know that they are spread throughout the universe." Lin Xian was shocked. He had naturally heard of it. When he was in the true spirit world, he had also encountered the underworld and was killed by assassins. He just didn't expect to encounter the underworld again. The buried Emperor's star was truly mysterious. The human realm was here, and the underworld had also appeared here. Furthermore, it had appeared in the Chinquan ancient city. What was the connection between the two? The toad knew more. He said that the human realm was in charge of the heavenly punishment. "You should have experienced this." Lin Xian nodded. He was called the person abandoned by the heavens. Every time he broke through, a blood-colored heavenly punishment would descend, wanting to destroy his soul. And these people had connections with the human realm. Therefore, the human realm was in charge of the heavenly punishment. What did the underworld control? The toad took a deep breath. The underworld controlled reincarnation. Reincarnation? He had seen the power of reincarnation before. The reincarnation protector who controlled the passage and the ethereal peak's reincarnation power seemed to be related to reincarnation. Lin Xian said, "Could it be that the underworld and the ethereal peak are related? I am not sure, but I don't think it's a big deal." Although the power of reincarnation was rare, it was not under the control of any single power. Most importantly, it was controlled by hell. As for the other powers of reincarnation, they might seem formidable in the eyes of ordinary people. However, in the eyes of top-tier powerful beings, they were nothing more than some trump cards. Things were getting more and more interesting. The toad was like an old monster with a mysterious smile. Lin Xian asked, "What else are you hiding?" The toad said, "Do you know what the main force behind divine punishment and samsara is?" Lin Xian was stunned. Could it be the heavenly punishment sword and the samsara sword? The toad nodded. That's right. There must be the heaven's punishment sword behind the human world, and there should be the reincarnation sword behind the underworld. Of course, I'm not sure if it's the complete heaven punishment sword and samsara sword. After all, there had been a terrifying battle in the past. In that battle, even the great dragon sword was broken, and the great dragon sword soul was scattered. The samsara sword and the heavenly punishment sword were probably also badly damaged. When Lin Xian heard this, he was shocked. Just what kind of battle could cause such a divine sword to be damaged? He only had the great dragon sword soul now, and the great dragon sword was still missing. From what the toad said, it seemed to have been damaged. Could it be a battle between great emperors? He was asking, but the toad shook its head and said, "I'm not sure either. It was too long ago." Ah, look, he's going to disappear. At this moment, Little White pointed at the dismembered body in front of them and shouted. Lin Xian and the toad turned their heads to look. They saw that the demonic shadow that they had broken was slowly healing. Then, its body gradually grew bigger. There was a millstone-like thing that seemed to be absorbing it. Kid, leave it behind. Who knows, you might be able to find a trace of the secret of reincarnation. The toad shouted. Lin Xian used the great dragon sword soul. Sword Qi swept across, cutting through the void and destroying the power of reincarnation. He formed a sword domain and enveloped the demonic shadow. Since this thing was related to reincarnation, and Lin Xian's heavenly secret child prodigy had absorbed the power of reincarnation, he was going to try and see if he could control this demonic shadow. His heavenly secret divine eyes shone brightly, and terrifying runes appeared. The power of reincarnation sprinkled down and enveloped the demonic shadow. The demonic shadow struggled in pain. Its eyes were red as if blood was about to drip out. In the end, it was still controlled by Lin Xian. How magical! Lin Xian was surprised. If it were anyone else, they could use the heavenly secret divine eyes to attack. However, this demonic shadow seemed to have no blood or soul. Therefore, he could only use the power of reincarnation to control it. Attack, Lin Xian ordered. The demonic shadow roared and tore open the sky with its claws, shattering the void in front of it. That's great. Lin Xian smiled. This was equivalent to a powerful battle servant. This time, many experts from the Grotto Heavens and the ancient race had come. The people from Misty Peak would come too. They would meet sooner or later. Those people were experts and had brought many battle servants. If they really met them, it would be very troublesome. If they were surrounded, it would be even more dangerous. However, he was not worried now. With such a demonic shadow as a battle servant, would he be afraid of the experts from the other Grotto Heavens? Besides, there were so many demonic shadows here. If he controlled a few more, they would be courting death if they competed with him in terms of numbers. Let's go. With a wave of his hand, Lin Xian put away the demonic shadow. They turned into streams of light and disappeared into the sky. On a deserted street, 8 figures combined to form a formation. Beside them, there were layers of mountain shadows that seemed to be suppressing heaven and earth. Terrifying laws of power surged out, causing the surrounding void to shatter continuously. Inside the formation, there were 2 demonic shadows that roared at the sky. Their power was very strong. Every time they attacked, the formation would tremble. It was in danger of shattering at any time. Nearby, there was another figure dressed in white. She carried an ancient sword on her back and had a beautiful face. At this moment, she was staring at an empty hall in front of her. There was a sage king's well that was undulating. Senior Sister Xueqi, hurry up. We can't hold on any longer. A woman among the people who formed the formation spoke while gritting her teeth. These people were from the Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven. The beautiful woman who carried an ancient sword on her back was Xueqi. She nodded and didn't hesitate. Her body flickered and turned into ice. She instantly entered the hall. She looked at the Sage King's will that was floating there and waved her hand. Roar! At this moment, another crazy roar echoed out. A demonic shadow tore apart the void and charged out. It had appeared suddenly, and it came next to Xueqi. Its sharp claws seemed capable of tearing apart everything. Xueqi snorted coldly, and black frost appeared on her body. It sealed the whole world. The whole hall was sealed in ice, and the demonic shadow was also frozen. Xueqi grabbed the Sage King's will and retreated quickly. When she had just left the hall, the demonic shadow broke free from the ice and charged out. Chapter 4507. It was so terrifying. Xueqi was surprised. She already had a 9-yin body, and she could use her peerless ice, which ordinary Saint Kings couldn't use. However, this demonic shadow could easily do it. What kind of existence was it? Let's leave quickly. She waved her hand. These demonic shadows were too terrifying. When the 8 saints of the Thousand Mountain Wonderland heard her, they all retreated and prepared to leave. However, at this moment, more than 20 people descended from the sky and suppressed everything. Do you want to leave? Hand over the will you have obtained. Otherwise, none of you will be able to leave today." An ice-cold voice reverberated between heaven and earth. Xueqi stopped and furrowed her brows. The expressions of the Thousand Mountain Wonderland's people became even more unsightly. Zishao looked at the peerless fairy in front of him, as well as the Saint King's will, and a smile appeared at the corners of his mouth. He was an outstanding powerhouse of the Xiling Wonderland, and he had brought more than 20 people with him. However, his luck wasn't too good, as he hadn't found any treasures. Instead, he had encountered many demonic shadows. They could only flee, and they didn't expect that they would find a treasure here. It was the Saint King's will. If he could get it, his power would rise again, and he could even shorten the time he needed to reach the middle stage of the Saint King realm. To him, this was the best outcome. Fairy Xueqi, I advise you to hand it over obediently so that you won't suffer any physical pain. Do you think you can do it? Xueqi snorted coldly and thrust her palm forward. Cold ice covered the sky, and everyone's hair stood on end. Zishao shouted coldly, and 10,000 bolts of lightning danced in the sky. They seemed like lightning dragons that swept across the area. When the lightning and ice collided, a dazzling radiance erupted. The two of them were unexpectedly in a deadlock. How is this possible? The people of the Wonderland and the surroundings were stunned. Their senior brother had already reached the Saint King realm for 10 years, and he had far surpassed Zishao. However, they were now in a stalemate, and they couldn't believe it. What a terrifying ice! He was really a peerless genius. However, no matter how strong you are, so what? I have brought twice as many people as you. I also have more Saint Kings than you. Moreover, you will be attacked by the demonic shadows. If you continue fighting, you will surely die. Even you won't be able to escape. Are you sure you want to do this? Zizhao's voice was cold, and the expressions of the people of the Thousand Mountain Wonderland became unsightly. Xueqi snorted coldly and thought, how despicable! You're wrong. This is called strategy and tactics. Zishao smiled and said, hand over the item obediently. Just the likes of you still want to obtain the Holy King's will? Ants, get lost. A voice rang out. Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven, do you want to die? Zishao roared. The people from Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven were also at a loss. They were not the ones who said that. They hurriedly explained. Xueqi also furrowed her brows. Who was it? Did another expert come? Who dares to meddle in the affairs of our Xiling paradise? Get over here and accept your death. Two figures stood out and shouted coldly. However, in the next moment, they were sent flying. The void split open as two streaks of piercingly cold sword light slammed into their bodies, splitting them apart. Blood flowed, dyeing the earth red. Damn it! The others all acted as if they were facing a great enemy. Who was this person? He was so powerful. Who dares to go against us? Zishao also roared. At this moment, a figure in a red robe appeared. His cold eyes stared down. I'm going against you. Do you have a problem with that? A bunch of trash. Hurry up and kneel down before me. Obediently become my puppet, and I'll spare your lives. The toad jumped out and said coldly, where did this toad come from? Go to hell. The people from Xiling Paradise were furious. These people were courting death. Another 3 streaks of sword light shot over. Oh my, you want to fight me? The toad sneered and sent several figures flying. Lin Xian said, since you want to fight, then stay here. An extremely terrifying killing intent appeared on his body. You? Zishao sneered. You're not even a holy king. Go to hell. His eyes emitted a cold light like lightning, and thousands of lightning bolts rushed out. They were majestic and could pierce through heaven and earth. In an instant, they engulfed Lin Xian. Ha ha ha. The people from the Grotto Heaven laughed. You can't even block one of our senior brother's attacks. How dare you be so arrogant? I don't want to dodge such weak lightning bolts. A figure walked out from the sea of lightning. His robe fluttered, but he was not injured at all. How could it be? The surrounding people were stunned. Was this guy not injured? That was the purple thunder. It was a peerless thunder-type supernatural power. Even holy kings of the same level could not block it. If they were hit, they would not even be able to use their strength. However, this guy was actually fine. What did he use to block these purple lightning bolts? Zizhao's face was cold. Kid, it seems that you have treasures on you. In that case, I'll kill you and take your treasures. An even more terrifying killing intent bloomed in his eyes. The law of thunder swept out, and the purple lightning condensed into a long spear. Purple lightning danced wildly. The lightning in the sky turned into a lightning dragon that danced wildly. Terrifying energy swept out in all directions. At this moment, everyone retreated. Because the power of this attack was extremely strong. Lin Xian stood there with a calm expression. Oh, the strongest attack? However, it seemed to be pitifully weak. He stretched out his palm and attacked in front of him. Boom! Like a god exploding, thousands of divine lights flew out. After a shocking collision, the purple spear was broken in half, and Zizhao retreated. Endless cracks appeared on his body, and then with a crack, he was split in half. The lower half of his body stood there, but the upper half fell from the sky. Everyone was shocked. The people of Xiling Grotto Heaven were stunned. The other party had killed their senior brother with one punch. The people of Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven were even more shocked. Who was this? He was too strong. Zizhao was injured. Half of his body wanted to heal, but it was trampled into pieces by the toad. His heart and soul were destroyed. Noisy ants. The toad sneered. Dead. The people of Xiling Grotto Heaven went crazy. They were terrified. Damn it. Kill them and avenge senior brother. More than 20 people burst out together. 10 of them were geniuses of the Grotto Heaven, and the other dozen were battle servants. These battle servants did not even care about their lives and directly rushed over. Lin Xian snorted. He did not make a move, but a demonic shadow appeared in front of him. The demonic shadow's eyes were red. With a roar, its claws tore open the sky. This was a mid-stage holy venerable. Under one attack, more than 20 figures were all turned into pieces. None of them survived. Behind him, the people of Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven were so scared that they almost knelt there. What kind of scene was this? So many saints could not even block a single attack from him. This demonic shadow was definitely a mid-stage holy king. It could kill all of them in an instant with just a slap. Also, who was this person? Why could he control the demonic shadow? Could it be that he was also a mysterious existence here? These people's scalps went numb. They did not dare to imagine. Chapter 4508. It was settled. The toad jumped over and started searching the storage ring. Lin Xian turned his head around and looked at the members of the Thousand Mountain Paradise. The members of the Thousand Mountain Paradise felt great pressure from his gaze. They felt like their bodies were bending, as if they were about to kneel down and worship their king. A man among them gritted his teeth and spoke. We are members of the Thousand Mountain Paradise. Senior, thank you for helping us. May I know Senior's name? Lin Xian had changed his appearance, so they didn't recognize him. Xueqi's lips curled into a smile. She was also shocked before, as she didn't know who could be so terrifying. When he used his power, she felt that her nine-inch body had been stimulated, and it wanted to erupt with boundless ice. There was only one person who could cause such a scene. It was the nine-yang divine body. He was her husband, so he wouldn't hurt her. However, Xueqi didn't know why the other party had disguised himself and wasn't with her. Xueqi didn't know. However, she trusted Lin Xian unconditionally. Lin Xian looked coldly at the members of the Thousand Mountain Paradise, then looked at Xueqi. He transmitted his voice to her, saying, "Be careful. I will act alone for the time being. If you run into any danger, use the formation to inform me." Xueqi transmitted her voice back to him. Lin Xian turned around and soared into the sky with the toad. Did he finally leave? Back then, when Lin Xian disappeared, the people of the Thousand Mountain Grotto heaved a sigh of relief and quickly left. The toad flew outside with the Great Sage Tower. Apart from Lin Xian, there were 3 other demonic shadows in the Great Sage Tower. He had already subdued one of them, while he had just captured the other 2 from Xueqi's side. After the 2 of them came, they kept roaring. However, they were quickly suppressed by Lin Xian's battle servants. Lin Xian used his reincarnation power to subdue the two of them. He now had 3 demonic shadow battle servants by his side. Great. Their power increased again. Now, he didn't need to do anything. Once the demonic shadows appeared, they could sweep away everything. Let's go and find more treasures. Lin Xian walked out of the great sage tower, and they sped up. Buzz, buzz, buzz. In the distance, the melodious sound of a zither could be heard, shaking the 9 heavens. This caught Lin Xian's attention. The toad also spoke. Who was it? How could he be in the mood to play the zither here? The two of them landed and looked down. That was also a new region. Below it was a mansion that had existed for a long time. It carried a wave of dust. The sound of the zither came from below. When Lin Xian was about to land, he discovered that there were many people in the courtyard. They should be people from other grotto heavens and primeval races. These people all had outstanding talents, and when they saw Lin Xian and Lin Xian descend, they all turned their heads. Their eyes were cold and filled with warning. Then, they turned their heads. F***CK. What's going on? Toad cried out in alarm. The surrounding people glared at him. One of them whispered, "Lower your voice. There are people from the misty peak inside. My name is Ming Hao, and I'm from Boundless Paradise. How should I address you, sire?" He looked at Lin Xian. Lin Xian said, "My name is Sword Maniac. Brother Ming Hao, what's the situation here? Someone wants to make a move on the Luo family." Ming Hao said, "The Luo family?" Lin Xian was stunned. He had just come out of the Luo family. Who was it? Was it someone from the Misty Peak? That's right. They wanted to make a move on Luo Fifan. Luo Fifan was really unlucky. He was originally very talented, but he offended someone and was removed from the position of young clan leader. Now, he didn't have many battle servants with him, and it seemed that he had some kind of treasure on him. This time, he was really going to be miserable. Luo Fifan. Lin Xian was surprised. He knew this person because he was the one who removed him from the position of young clan leader. This guy was courting death again. Did he challenge someone? It seemed that he was really hopeless. He shook his head. Ming Hao said, "This time, you guessed wrong. This time, it wasn't Luo Fifan who challenged him, but someone else." Up ahead, Luo Fifan's face was incomparably ugly. Since he was removed from the position of young clan leader, his life had been very difficult. Although he would not be bullied, no one would revere him as much as they did before. He had very few battle servants and subordinates by his side. This time, he came personally to look for some opportunities. If he could break through, he might have a chance to redeem himself. However, he didn't expect that he would be targeted. The people who targeted him were from the White Cloud Hollow. Logically speaking, with his strength, he should be able to resist them. However, he didn't expect that the Misty Peak was behind the White Cloud Hollow. Bai Hao looked at Luo Fifan and smiled. "What do you think? Kid, hand over the things obediently, and I can let you live today. Otherwise, my brother will definitely kill you, even if you're from the Luo family. Moreover, you're not the young clan leader anymore. If we want to kill you, it's no different from killing an ant." Damn it. If he was the young clan leader, these people wouldn't dare to be so presumptuous in the ancient city of Qinkuan. "You want my things? Ask your brother to come here personally." Luo Fifan gritted his teeth. There was an old man beside him who also had an ugly expression. At this moment, his body was stained with blood. One of his arms was broken and was recovering. He was a middle-stage Sage King and had watched Luo Fifan grow up. Although Luo Fifan had lost his identity, he was still by his side. Logically speaking, with such an expert protecting him, he wouldn't be afraid even if he faced the geniuses of the White Cloud Hollow. However, the girl playing the zither at the side was extremely terrifying. She was an expert from the Misty Peak. Coupled with the zither in her hand, it was an extremely powerful Sage King weapon. Therefore, she injured him. One person from the Misty Peak was already so terrifying. If there was another one, it would be even more dangerous. "Oh, you want me to come here personally? Just by you? Let me see if you're qualified." A loud laughter was heard. A figure walked out from the depths of the mansion. This person wore a white robe and had a strong aura. He crossed 1,000 miles in a single step and came to the front of the crowd. His cold eyes swept across the surroundings like lightning. The surrounding people exclaimed when they saw this figure. By Tsangqiang, it's him. He was ranked 20th on the Misty list. The Misty list was a list set by the Misty Peak. Those who could enter the top 100 of the Misty list were extremely terrifying experts. Any one of these people could easily defeat the young geniuses of the White Cloud Hollow. Ranked 20th was an extremely terrifying supreme existence in the Misty Peak. This list only included people under 3,000 years old. Bai Tsangqiang could be said to be young and promising. Damn it, Luo Fifin's face was ugly. Even if he was the young clan leader, he might not be able to resist Bai Tsangqiang. It seemed that this time, he was really screwed. He said, although I'm no longer the young clan leader, the item belongs to the Luo clan. If I take it away, the Luo clan won't let it go. Are you threatening me? Bai Tsangqiang sneered. All right, I'll give you a chance. If you can block my finger. I don't want the item, and I'll let you go. What if you can't block it? Then you'll kneel down obediently and hand over the item. Chapter 4509. One Finger. The surrounding people exclaimed. Bai Tsangqiang was powerful, but he was only an early-stage Saint King, the same realm as Luo Fifin. Was he going to defeat Luo Fifin with one finger? As expected of the genius of Misty Peak, he was confident enough. Why wouldn't he dare? Luo Fifin snorted. Although Bai Tsangqiang was powerful, he couldn't even block one finger? He didn't think so. Fine, you said so. Luo Fifin gritted his teeth. He had to block Bai Tsangqiang's attack even if he had to risk his life. Therefore, he said, go ahead. Bai Tsangqiang smiled proudly. You won't have a chance if I attack. So, I advise you to use your strongest technique. Luo Fifin didn't say anything. He took a deep breath and his eyes shone with a sharp light. In the next moment, the law on his body burned rapidly. A shocking force swept out. His fists were strong enough to shatter heaven and earth. This guy was going all out. Seeing this, many people exclaimed. That was for sure. After all, he was a Saint King. As long as he could block Bai Tsangqiang's finger, he would be able to leave. There was no reason for him not to fight with his life. He punched out with both fists, drawing a mysterious trajectory in the sky. A terrifying aura spread in all directions. That was the power of the law burning. Hee, you can't even withstand a single blow. Even if you fight with your life, you are still no match for me. Bai Tsangqiang looked at the scene with a disdainful smile. Firmament divine finger. Heaven and earth were shattered by Bai Tsangqiang's finger. Luo Fifin's fists couldn't block it at all. They shattered into pieces. His hands were broken and turned into a bloody mist. His body was also thrown back. He was like a kite with a broken string, falling far away. The surrounding people were stunned and speechless. Luo Fifin's punch was indeed powerful. Moreover, it was a burning law fist. Countless people felt their scalps go numb. However, such a terrifying attack couldn't even block Bai Tsangqiang's finger. He was directly shattered and severely injured. Was the gap between them really that big? It was not the gap between their cultivation, but the gap between their superpowers and strength. People looked up to the people of Misty Peak. Young master. The old man of the Luo family rushed over with a nervous face. The people of White Cloud Cave sneered. Why didn't he fight with Bai Tsangqiang? Defeated, I actually lost. Luo Fifin was helped up by the old man. While vomiting blood, he shook his head crazily. He really didn't expect that he couldn't even block a single move. All right, kid. Now kneel on the ground obediently and hand over the item. Bai Tsangqiang was like a god looking down on everything. Just when everyone thought that Luo Fifin was finished, a voice sounded. So arrogant? I've never seen anyone more arrogant than me. When these words came out, the eyelids of the surrounding people twitched wildly. Damn, who is this? Challenging Bai Tsangqiang at this time. Was he tired of living? The surrounding people all turned their heads and looked over. In the next moment, they were even more stunned. It turned out that the one who spoke was an incomparably arrogant toad. Beside him stood a man in a red robe with a cold expression. His face was unfamiliar. They weren't geniuses or experts that they knew. Who dares to challenge us? Do you want to die? The expert from White Cloud Cave shouted coldly. Countless gazes were fixed on them. The surrounding void continued to shatter. The surrounding people were so scared that their scalps went numb. They didn't dare to open their mouths. The toad snorted coldly. I thought you could destroy his soul with a single finger. Now, you've only defeated him. What's there to be arrogant about? It seems that your strength isn't that great. You're not even as strong as the kid beside me. The toad's voice once again shocked everyone. Destroy his soul with a single finger? Do you think it's so easy to kill an expert of the same level? And the kid beside you, is he famous? Can he compete with Bai Tsangqiang with a strange face? Lin Xian glanced at the toad and sighed. This guy really didn't mind watching a show. Was he going to drag him down just like that? However, he wasn't afraid. Although Bai Tsangqiang was powerful, he wasn't his opponent. During this period of time, he had already absorbed the Sage King's will that he had obtained, and his strength had increased again. He was already very close to becoming a half-step Sage King. Therefore, he didn't take Bai Tsangqiang seriously. He was more curious about Luo Fifan. What exactly did he have that could cause such a battle? Suddenly, he was stunned. He carefully sensed Luo Fifan's aura and found that the bronze key in his hand had lit up again. Could it be that there was some connection? The bronze key could cause a shocking change in Qingkuan Ancient City. And Luo Fifan was originally from Qingkuan Ancient City. Perhaps he really had some treasure in his hand. Thinking of this, he made up his mind. No matter what, he had to take action today to at least get the treasure on Luo Fifan's body. The surrounding people didn't know what Lin Xian was thinking. After the toad's voice fell, they looked at Lin Xian and sized him up curiously. Who is this kid? Is he very powerful? Who knows? He's so unfamiliar. I think he's just a fool who doesn't know what's important. Luo Fifan also turned his head and looked over. In the next moment, his pupils shrank, and a monstrous anger and killing intent appeared in his eyes. It's this kid. He would never forget that it was this kid who stripped him of his identity with a single sentence. Now, he had appeared again. If it wasn't for this kid, how could he have encountered such a situation? He couldn't wait to fight with his life on the line, but he didn't dare. This kid was an existence that even his father had to treat with respect. When Lin Xian sensed the murderous intent in the other party's eyes, he turned his head and revealed a faint smile. Oh, what's wrong? You want to kill me? Do you want to fight with me? Luo Fifan gritted his teeth and quickly lowered his head. He didn't dare. He was now seriously injured. If he offended the kid might dare to kill him. Moreover, he seemed to have made some kind of decision and raised his head. Master, I know you're powerful. If you can save my life, I'll give you the treasure in my hand. I swear that this treasure will never let you down. Oh, really? Since you're willing to give me the treasure, then I can save your life. Lin Xian said. Thank you, Master. Luo Fifan seemed to have found hope. The surrounding people were in an uproar. They were even more curious. Who was this red-robed man? He dared to say such words. Could it be that he had a great background? The cultivator from White Cloud Cave Heaven sneered. Brat, you dare to talk big in front of me? I'm afraid you're tired of living. Come here now, or I'll let you go to hell. Toad, slap him. I can't wait any longer. The toad turned into a bolt of lightning and jumped out. An ant dares to fight with me? The expert from White Cloud Cave sneered. He slapped his palm, and a blade light flashed in the sky. Boom. Crack. With a slash, the sky fell and the earth cracked, and the void shattered. However, his palm hit nothing. There was no sign of the toad at all. As for the toad's attack, it landed on his opponent's face, causing his entire face to shatter into pieces. Chapter 45:10. A crazy roar rang out, stunning the surrounding people. How could a toad be so powerful? Who were these two people? The toad flew back and sneered. You can't even withstand a single blow from me. Cousin, help me kill him. The man's face recovered, and he looked at Bai Tsangqiang. His face was filled with anxiety, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. Bai Tsangqiang walked out with a cold face. How dare you snatch something that I want? Very well, It has been a long time since anyone dared to challenge me. Today, I will personally send you two on your way." His eyes flickered with cold, killing intent. He was like a divine king overlooking the world. The toad also frowned. It had to be said that this guy was really strong and had the right to be arrogant. Lin Xian looked at him. "You are a genius of Misty Peak, right? It's not easy for you to cultivate to your level. It would be a pity if you died. How about this? Seeing that the heavens are virtuous, I'll give you a chance." He stretched out a finger and said, "One move. If you can block my move, I will not interfere in this matter and Luo Fifin will be at your disposal. If you can't block it, then kneel down and kowtow to admit your mistake. I will spare your life." The surrounding people went crazy. Why was this scene so familiar? This was what Bai Zongqiong said to Luo Fifin. But they did not expect that the tables would turn. In the blink of an eye, someone said such words to Bai Zongqiong. But did this guy have the strength to say such words? Bai Zongqiong was a Saint King expert. He was ranked 20th in Misty Peak. He was extremely powerful. He could defeat an expert of the same level with just a finger. Perhaps only the more terrifying geniuses of Misty Peak could defeat such a person. The others had no hope at all. I, Bai Zongqiong, have lived for 2,300 years. This is the first time someone has dared to say such words to me. Kid, you have completely angered me. I want to see how you can defeat me with a single palm." Lin Xian looked calm and said indifferently, "You should make the first move. Oh right, use all your strength. It would be best if you burn your law. Otherwise, you will not stand a chance. You are courting death." The people from White Cloud Grotto roared madly. Their eyes were filled with killing intent. However, Bai Zongqiong waved his hand and stopped them. He stared at Lin Xian, his eyes shining. "You are very arrogant. I have never seen such an arrogant person. That's why I decided not to kill you. After I suppress you, I'll make you my battle servant. I want to torture you every day. I want you to know the consequences of offending me." After saying that, he stretched out another finger. It was the firmament divine finger. Did he need to use all his strength to deal with a stranger? What a joke. He could sweep away everything with a single finger. Luo Fifin would be defeated, and so would Zhang Xian. A single finger moved the universe, causing the winds and clouds to change. This attack seemed to be even more terrifying than when he had defeated Luo Fifin. This brat was most likely going to die. He was too arrogant and didn't know who Bai Zongqiong was. Well, it wouldn't be a pity for such an arrogant person to die. The surrounding people sneered. Luo Fifin was also extremely nervous. He was betting his life on Lin Xian. If Lin Xian was defeated, Bai Zongqiong would definitely not let him go. He would end up worse than death. Therefore, he was praying in his heart. Even if Lin Xian couldn't defeat him in one move, it would be enough if Lin Xian could take him away after thousands of moves. He didn't expect Lin Xian to defeat Bai Zongqiong because he felt that it was also impossible. Facing the firmament divine finger, Lin Xian also stretched out a finger and pointed it out. On his finger, endless sword light seemed to have turned into a divine sword, piercing through heaven and earth. Did this guy also think that he could defeat someone with a single finger? What a joke. He was too arrogant. Countless people went crazy. They had never seen such a reckless person. However, when Zhang Xian pointed his finger out, everyone was stunned. There was very little sword chi on his fingertip, but it surged to the 9 heavens and shone with cold light. A sword from the west, flying immortal from outer space. Everyone's body seemed to have been destroyed by this sword light. After that sword, Lin Xian retracted his finger. With a crack, heaven and earth split apart, and a huge crack appeared. Everyone was shocked. The entire space was split apart. What about Bai Zongqiong? They turned their heads and saw Bai Zongqiong's firmament divine finger frozen in the void. A black dot appeared on it, and then it quickly split open. Puff. Blood spurted out, and the firmament divine finger was destroyed. Not only that, one of Bai Zongqiong's arms also split open. Everyone could see that his bones were broken. Bai Zongqiong held his arm and kept retreating. His eyes were wide open, and he couldn't believe it. What happened just now? Just when he was full of confidence, a sword enveloped him, and then he felt as if his entire arm was crippled. He couldn't use his strength anymore. What followed was endless pain and fear. His mind was blank, and he could only hear countless exclamations around him. Was he defeated? How was that possible? The people of White Cloud Cave were so scared that their bodies trembled, and they almost knelt on the ground. The god in their eyes, Bai Tsangqiang, couldn't even block one finger of his opponent? Was the gap between them really so big? Luo Fifan also couldn't believe that he had one. He didn't dare to have the slightest killing intent toward Lin Xian anymore. He looked at Lin Xian as if he was an ant facing a god. Bai Tsangqiang defeated him with one move, but Lin Xian defeated Bai Tsangqiang with one move. His opponent's strength was more terrifying than he had imagined. No wonder his father was so respectful. It seemed that the gap between him and his father was really too big. Not only was there a gap in cultivation, but even his eyesight was so bad. You've lost. Kneel down and kowtow, Lin Xian said lightly. His voice brought everyone back to reality. Then, countless exclamations rang out. Wow, what did I just see? This kid really did it. Who exactly was he? Bai Tsangqiang felt as if he had been struck by lightning. You want me to kneel down and kowtow? Are you kidding me? Damn kid. Who are you? The wounds on his body were shrouded by the laws and quickly healed. You don't deserve to know who I am. You just need to fulfill your promise. I'll take him away and you'll kowtow. You want me to kowtow? Dream on. I was careless just now. Now, I'll tear you to pieces. He shouted angrily and charged over. His whole body was like a wisp of smoke, and he instantly appeared behind Lin Xian. He must personally tear Lin Xian into pieces. Lin Xian sighed. It seemed that he didn't know what was good for him. His body swayed, and he turned into an afterimage, dodging the sneak attack from behind. Then, he threw out a punch. With a crack, his opponent's palm shattered into a bloody mist. Damn it! Why is his strength so strong? Bai Tsangqiang retreated again. He realized that it was a mistake to fight in close combat with Lin Xian. He wanted to distance himself and use a peerless divine ability, but it was too late. Chapter 45:11. After Lin Xian attacked for the first time, he took a step forward and raised his knee. Like a heavenly hammer, he slammed it on the other party's body. With a bang, the other party lost all feeling in his legs. He lowered his head and found that his legs had turned into a bloody mist. The next moment, he saw a golden palm grabbing his head and slamming it on the ground. With a bang, his head was broken and bleeding, and the ground kept shaking. This was the Antiquity City. It didn't shatter, but his head was smashed. Not only that, the power spread throughout his body, making him unable to resist at all. Then, a foot stepped on his head. Since you don't know how to kneel, I'll teach you. Lin Xian snorted coldly. The surrounding people were stunned. The battle between the two was too fast. It was over in the blink of an eye. So when they reacted, they saw Bai Tsangqiang lying on the ground like a dog with his head stepped on. Lin Xian was still calm, as if he had done something insignificant. Impossible. I'm not dreaming, am I? Those people from the White Cloud Grotto Heaven slapped their faces. They wanted to wake themselves up. However, they found that it was indeed the case. The other spectators swallowed their saliva. This was really a ruthless person. He actually dared to attack like this. His strength was too strong. He was simply beating up Bai Tsangqiang. Since when did such a powerhouse appear? Why didn't they know about it at all? Could it be that he came from another region? Bai Tsangqiang was stunned, but in the next moment, he came back to his senses. He was so angry that his whole body was trembling. His lungs were about to explode. Damn it! He had lived for more than 2,000 years and had never been suppressed like today. He couldn't stand it. But that foot was like a coiling dragon. He couldn't resist at all. He could only roar. Elder Lu, kill him. Kill him for me. Elder Lu, who was the woman who played the zither earlier, shouted. The old man beside Luo Fan narrowed his eyes. Oh no, he was injured by Elder Lu earlier. This Elder Lu was a mid-stage saint venerable. Moreover, the saint artifact in his hand was even more terrifying. Even if this young man was strong enough to defeat Bai Tsangqiang, he had no chance of winning against Elder Lu. The difference in cultivation between Saint Kings was just that terrifying. No matter how powerful one was, it would be difficult to bridge the gap. Lu Qin frowned when she saw this. She was indeed an elder, and a very young one at that. She was only 3,000 years old. She was only a few hundred years older than Bai Zongqiang, but her cultivation was a realm higher than his. The reason why she had come this time around was because Bai Zongqiang had spent a large sum of money to invite her. She had always thought that Bai Zongqiang was very powerful. As long as she didn't encounter any of those older generation figures, she wouldn't have to make a move. There were even fewer people among the younger generation who could defeat him. There were only a dozen or so people who were ranked higher than him in the ethereal peak. Moreover, he might not even encounter it. But now, an unfamiliar youth had jumped out and beaten Bai Zongqiang to such a state. This truly surprised her. She hadn't even reacted to it before. At this moment, her expression darkened and she said in a deep voice, "Young man, you've gone too far. Remove your feet and kneel to receive your punishment." The ethereal peak is not something you can challenge. Punishment? Lin Xian laughed as well. Were the people of the ethereal peak all so arrogant? Did they really think that they were gods? Seems like you guys are too superior. Today, I'll teach you guys a lesson. You can't go against the ethereal peak. Lu Qin shook her head. The ethereal peak had been standing here for tens of thousands of years, and no one could change that. Were the 6 grotto heavens strong? Even if they joined forces, they still weren't a match for the ethereal peak. What could a young man do? Let go of him. This is my last warning. Are you dreaming? Lin Xian snorted coldly. I've said it before. Even if he lost the previous competition, I wouldn't take his life. But after he lost, he wanted to kill me. Then, he can't blame me. Did he think that no one would dare to touch him just because he was a genius of the ethereal peak? What a pity. Lin Xian didn't say anything else. He stomped his feet and shattered the other party's body. His palm turned into a dragon-shaped sword qi and pierced through the other party's soul. Boom! Bai Zongqiang didn't even have time to scream before his soul was destroyed. How dare you kill him? Lu Qin stood up abruptly with shock in her eyes. Dead? How was she going to explain to the ethereal peak when she went back? One had to know that this was a genius ranked 20th. His future achievements wouldn't be weaker than hers. He might even surpass her. How could he die outside just like that? He would be punished when he went back. Moreover, the other party was from the Bai family. The Bai family was extremely powerful in the White Cloud Grotto Heaven. He was simply a genius. Who would dare to kill such a person? But now, there was someone who didn't know what was good for him and killed him. The people around him were also going crazy. It was as if they could already foresee that a bloody storm was about to blow over. Go. These people retreated frantically. Lu Qin stood up and said coldly, Since he's dead, you'll be buried with him. A cold light flashed in her eyes. With a flick of her hand, a zither appeared in front of her. Foaming zither. The sound of the zither was bleak, like the cry of a phoenix. It was a terrifying Saint King weapon. At this moment, the sound swept across the world. The surrounding people tried their best to resist, and they felt that their ears were about to burst. Lin Xian struck out endless sword qi, which turned into a world of sword Dao. In an instant, it shattered. Middle stage Saint King was indeed powerful. He opened his divine body to resist. The sound fell on his divine body and echoed throughout the sky. Die. He kept retreating. What's wrong with this guy's physique? He's still alive. Although Lin Xian retreated, it was like a bolt from the blue in the eyes of the crowd. Even Bai Zongqiang would be turned into ashes in an instant when facing such an attack. But the other party was only pushed back. What kind of physique was this? The old man from the Luo family was originally in despair, but when he saw this scene, hope was restored in his eyes. With this young man's physique and his help, the two of them might have a chance to escape. So he took a deep breath and prepared to join forces with Lin Xian. Lin Xian snorted coldly. With a flick of his finger, a black figure appeared in front of him. Roar! The roar resounded through the world, blocking the sound of the zither. He actually blocked it. The old man from the Luo family was stunned. The surrounding people were also stunned. Some of the experts' pupils shrank. The demonic shadow. Not good, retreat. The demonic shadow is here. They had all been attacked by the demonic shadow before, so when they saw this scene, they were all traumatized and retreated. This kid was really unlucky. Not only was he being chased by Elder Lu Qin, but there was also such a terrifying demonic shadow. He probably couldn't escape death. In the eyes of the crowd, Lin Xian was dead for sure. The old man from the Luo family's expression changed drastically. He couldn't imagine how the situation would change with the arrival of such a terrifying demonic shadow. But soon, everyone was stunned. They realized that the demonic shadow didn't attack. Instead, it stood beside Lin Xian. Lin Xian sneered. Why? You've lived for 3,000 years, so you can beat me just because your cultivation is higher? You want to kill me? Why don't you try? Go, kill him, Lin Xian ordered. The demonic shadow in front of him roared and turned into a black lightning bolt, charging over. It waved its claws, destroying mountains and rivers. Chapter 45:12. The void in front of him kept shattering. The surrounding people were stunned. Oh my God, this demonic shadow actually listened to the other party's words. Who was this kid? Could it be that he was a terrifying existence in this unknown region? Thinking of this, their scalps went numb. Elder Lu Qin roared angrily and attacked with her zither. Those sounds blasted on the demonic shadow's body, releasing earth-shattering attacks. The demonic shadow didn't dodge at all and allowed the attacks to come. Many cracks appeared on his body, but there was no blood. Just like that, he fought all the way to Lu Qin. He waved his claws and broke one of Lu Qin's arms, sending her flying. It was too terrifying. This was simply a suicidal attack. However, the demonic shadow didn't have blood or soul. It didn't seem to be a living thing. Even if he died, where could he die? But Lu Qin was different. If he died, he wouldn't be able to live anymore. In an instant, she was severely injured. Damn it. She quickly retreated. Lin Xian sneered. It was too late to leave now. He continued to attack. The demonic shadow rushed into the sky at an extremely fast speed. Black light flashed in the sky, and every attack was like a peerless blade. Damn kid. If you have the ability, fight me head-on. Lu Qin shouted angrily as she fled. She was so angry that she wanted to vomit blood. An ant below the Sage King realm could make her so miserable. Lin Xian sneered. You have the face to say that? Do you dare to suppress your cultivation and fight with me at the same level? Lu Qin didn't dare to say anything. She could only dodge quickly. In an instant, the demonic shadow chased her far away. In the end, the two disappeared. Did they leave? The people around him still had lingering fears as they looked at Lin Xian in horror. The eyes of the few experts from White Cloud Grotto flickered. He actually killed Bai Zongqiang. Let's kill him and avenge Bai Zongqiang. Yes, that's right. Capture him and bring him back to tear him into pieces. More than a dozen figures surrounded him. Not good. This kid is in danger. That's right. His greatest trump card should be that demonic shadow. Without the demonic shadow, how could he fight? No matter how strong he was, two fists couldn't fight against four hands. Brat, now that you don't have any trump cards, let's see how arrogant you can be. The Saint Kings sneered. Lin Xian's eyes were filled with killing intent. If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wishes. With a wave of his hand, two more devilish figures appeared. Kill. With a roar, two demonic shadows rushed out. At the same time, he also punched out. In an instant, the bodies of the two Saint Kings were shattered by his punch. Lin Xian attacked aggressively, and so did the toad. Together with the two demonic shadows, they killed all of the White Cloud Grotto's powerhouses. The sky was filled with bloody mist as the saints' blood pierced through heaven and earth. The people in the surroundings felt their scalps go numb. They were too strong. Even without the protection of a middle-stage Saint King, they were still too strong. However, the strength of these people was already heaven-defying. Who else wants to have a taste of my strength? Lin Xian looked around. The surrounding people quickly retreated and left one after another. Lin Xian let out a long whistle and directly gave the order. The demonic figure in the distance flew back. His body was stained with blood, but none of it was his. It was Elder Lu Qin's blood. Although she was not dead, she was seriously injured. After returning, the demonic figure stood respectfully beside Lin Xian. Lin Xian looked at Luo Fifan. All right, show me the treasures you have on you now. Okay. Luo Fifan did not dare to have any thoughts of resistance. He took out a treasure box from his storage ring and opened it carefully. There was a bronze key inside. After Lin Xian saw it, his eyes suddenly lit up. It was very similar to the bronze key he got, but it was not the same. Obviously, if it was also related to the Qinkuan ancient city, he did not know where it was opened. However, it must be very important. It seemed that this was the right thing to do. Lin Xian was very satisfied to get such a thing. Lin Xian put away the key, then looked at Luo Fifan and asked, "Where did you get this thing? Do you know where it is opened?" "I don't know." "You don't know?" Lin Xian frowned. "How did you get it?" Luo Fifan did not dare to lie. He said, "I got this thing in my family. I found it 3 years ago. At that time, I was still the young patriarch, so I could enter some important places. I found this thing in an ancient pavilion. At that time, it was covered with dust and seemed to have been forgotten. I thought it was some kind of treasure. I studied it for 3 years, but I found nothing. Then, I threw it into my storage ring and ignored it. When the Qinkuan ancient city changed and a new area appeared, this key also emitted light, so I knew, if this is related to the Qinkuan ancient city, it must be a treasure." Lin Xian was shocked when he heard that. So that was the case. It seems that his key opened the Qinkuan ancient city first, which led to the later situation. I guess it has something to do with the Qinkuan palace. When Bai Zongqiong wanted it, he mentioned this name. Qinkuan palace? Lin Xian was stunned. Luo Fifan said, "Of course, it is the real Qinkuan palace, not the Qinkuan palace of my Luo family. I don't know where it is. Young master, can you let me go?" "I can let you go." Lin Xian nodded. "Keep a low profile in the future. Young master, don't worry. I will find a place to hide and not participate in these things anymore." Luo Fifan's face was pale. He could survive this time thanks to Lin Xian, so he did not intend to take the risk again. Luo Fifan and the old man left. Lin Xian's eyes were shining. "It seems that we have to go to the Qinkuan palace again. Okay, I can't wait anymore." The toad was also happy, but it asked, "Do you know where that thing is?" Lin Xian smiled. "I don't know, but the people of the Misty Peak know. There is Elder Lu Qing's blood on it. We can track his trace and definitely find the Qinkuan palace. What are we waiting for? Let's go." The toad could not wait. Lin Xian said, "No. It seems that the Qinkuan palace is definitely extraordinary. It can attract the attention of the Misty Peak. At that time, other grotto heavens and experts will also come. Early Holy King, Middle Holy King, or even Late Holy King will appear. We have to make some preparations." Next, Lin Xian took action again to find the demonic shadow. He suppressed another Middle Holy King demonic shadow and 2 Early Holy King demonic shadows. In total, there were 6 demonic shadows. This was already the limit. Lin Xian wouldn't be able to control any more than that. Lin Xian felt that this was enough. Next, Lin Xian used his eye technique to determine the location with Elder Lu Qin's blood. They moved quickly. Along the way, they encountered many demonic shadows, but they were all avoided. The most important thing now was to find the Qinkuan palace. After flying for about 5 days, they stopped. Without Lin Xian's special soul technique, they could know the location of the Qinkuan palace. This was because the number of people around them had gradually increased. These people were actually in the same direction. They should be going to the Qinkuan palace. Lin Xian followed these people and flew quickly in the air. Not long after, they saw a palace in front of them. Chapter 45:13. The Universal Palace wasn't big, and it was similar to other palaces. It was simple and had a mysterious aura. One didn't need to think to know that there was an independent space inside the Universal Palace. Lin Xian landed on a nearby mountain. There were already many people waiting patiently in the surroundings. There were also some who were rushing over and landing one after another. 3 days later, Lin Xian and the toad were shocked. There were more people than they had expected. It seemed like the Universal Palace was everyone's target. It was Fairy Xueqi. Another voice rang out. Everyone turned around and saw a beautiful figure with an ancient sword on her back descending from the sky. She had a boundless cold aura around her, and there were many people following her. They were Xueqi and the other experts of the Thousand Mountain Paradise. They also landed on a mountain. After Xueqi landed, she looked around as if she was looking for someone. When she saw a red-robed man on a mountain in the distance, her eyes lit up. It seemed like the man was fine. She was relieved. "Husband, how are you?" Xueqi was expressionless, but she quickly transmitted her voice to him. Lin Xian simply told her that he was fine, and she didn't need to worry. Xueqi wasn't the only one who had come. Insu and Qin Xianer also came. They followed Elder Tianyi. The arrival of the Green Hill Paradise also attracted a lot of attention. After all, they were all peerless fairies. The people of the 6 great paradises had come. The other ancient races and the families of the ancient universe city had also come. What was more shocking was that the Misty Peak had also come. They had occupied the best mountain, and no one dared to approach them. However, there were some people who were whispering. "Did you hear? The Misty Peak seemed to have lost a genius. How was that possible? It seemed like his name was Bai Tsangqiang." "What? The genius ranked 20th, Bai Tsangqiang, had died? Who did it? Was this a challenge to the Misty Peak?" Many people cried out in alarm. They didn't know who it was, but they knew that the person who dared to do such a thing must have a shocking background. They didn't know who it was, but they knew that the person was terrifying. It seemed like even Elder Lu Qin had been injured and fled. All kinds of exclamations and discussions rang out. The people of the Misty Peak snorted coldly. One of them exuded an extremely cold, killing intent, suppressing the 9 heavens into silence. No one dared to say anything. At this moment, 2 teams flew over from afar. They were from White Cloud Grotto and Violet Spirit Grotto. What were they trying to do? Many people were paying attention. These people streaked across the sky and arrived at a nearby mountain peak. They surrounded a red-robed man. Lin Xian looked around. Had he been discovered? So what? With the 6 great demonic shadows in his hands, he was not afraid of these people. Moreover, he still had other trump cards. "You must be the one who did it," the strong cultivator from the Violet Spirit Grotto said coldly. "How dare you attack the people of the Violet Spirit Grotto? Now, no one can save you." The people of White Cloud Grotto also looked cold. "You have the aura of a disciple of our White Cloud Wonderland on your body. Since you dared to kill our people, you will definitely die today." "What? This guy dares to offend 2 grotto heavens." Many people looked at Lin Xian in shock. Some of them narrowed their eyes. They seemed to have recognized Lin Xian's identity. Lin Xian looked at the 2 grotto heavens and sneered. "Do you have the right to come here? Who ordered you? Is it Lu Qin? Get her to come here herself." "Elder Lu Qin. Isn't she an elder of the Misty Peak? This guy actually dares to call her by her name and is so arrogant. Who is this kid?" "Kid, it's useless to say anything. Now, just accept your death." A figure clad in purple armor walked out. This man looked ordinary, but the aura on his body was unparalleled. He was like a peerless god of war that people looked up to. "Ziji, it's actually him. He's one of the top geniuses of the Violet Spirit Grotto. His purple sky divine skill had been cultivated to a very high level. It was difficult for him to find a match in the initial stage of the Sage King realm. Even some of the older generation figures were not his match. To defeat him, one had to be at the middle stage of the Sage King realm. I didn't expect him to come. Is he going to do it himself? Kid, I'll make you wish you were dead later. Another figure walked out from the White Cloud Grotto. The 2 wings on his back were like 2 clouds, and his head was even more ferocious. By Tiga, many people exclaimed. They weren't scolding the other party, but shocked. The other party was an expert of the Tiango clan and a top genius of the White Cloud Grotto. It was said that he had once killed 2 Sage Kings of the same level with a single slash. His strength was unimaginable. Lin Xian looked at the two people in front of him and smiled. Are you two sure you want to fight? Didn't Lu Qin tell you the truth when she asked you to come? Kid, I know you have some relationship with the Luo clan, but we're not afraid. You're dead this time. Lin Xian shook his head. Looks like Lu Qin really didn't tell them the truth. These two are indeed very strong. They're not weaker than Bai Zongqiang, but if they join forces, they'll definitely surpass Bai Zongqiang. But so what? Bai Zongqiang couldn't even block a single finger from me, let alone these two. I'll be able to kill them in 3 moves. Since you're courting death, then let's fight together. I don't want to waste time. Lin Xian waved his hand and said indifferently. The surrounding people went crazy. The two of them together? Does this guy know who he's facing? These two are top experts of the White Cloud Grotto. Their unparalleled existences in the early stage of the Sage King realm. If you want to kill them, you'll have to be a middle stage Sage King. But is this kid a middle stage Sage King? Why do I feel that he doesn't even have the aura of a Sage King? Countless people were shocked, thinking that Lin Xian had gone crazy. In the distance, Qin Xiener and Yin Su were nervous again. This guy is still as arrogant as before. Those who only knew about Lin Xian's background sighed in their hearts. These two are dead for sure. He killed Bai Zongqiang with a single move. He didn't even need 3 moves to kill these two. Of course, these people didn't dare to say anything. After all, offending Lin Xian would result in a terrible outcome. They wouldn't forget. Lin Xian knew how to control demonic shadows. Ziji and Bai Tiango were also angry. They sneered. Good boy. No wonder you dare to offend the people of the White Cloud Grotto. You want the two of us to fight together? Fine. I'll fulfill your wish. After saying that, Ziji waved his hand in the air. Endless purple aura condensed into a huge purple hand and descended from the sky. It carried the laws of the world and was abnormally terrifying. Even a sage of the same level wouldn't be able to block this palm. On the other side, Bai Tiango also made his move. With a wave of his hand, a white blade light descended from the sky like a bolt of lightning. Although the two of them didn't use their full strength, it was enough to destroy everything. They even had the confidence to fight against a middle-stage Sage King expert. Lin Xian snorted coldly and stretched out his palms. One of his palms slapped towards the huge purple hand and the other towards the shocking blade light. Bai Tiango and Ziji sneered. Does he really dare to fight against two alone? Does he really think he's a god of war? They could already imagine the scene of the other party being torn apart. Chapter 45:14. Boom, boom. An earth-shattering collision sounded as the giant golden palm blocked the two attacks. Otherwise, their attacks would have been destroyed by this palm and turned into dazzling fireworks. How is this possible? He actually blocked it. Was he fighting 1 against 2? The two of them were shocked. The surrounding people were also dumbfounded. Isn't this guy too strong? Lin Xian didn't use any divine abilities and blocked the attacks of the two with just his physical strength. In the next moment, he took a step forward and attacked again. He clenched his left hand into a fist, and a resplendent sun swept in all directions, causing everyone to close their eyes. This punch was aimed at Ziji. Boom! Blood spurted out, and Ziji roared as his body was penetrated. There was an uproar below, and Bai Tiango was also stunned. Damn it! His pupils constricted, knowing that he had been careless. This was a very terrifying enemy that he had to resist with all his might. Heavenly Dog swallows the moon. He launched his strongest attack, which turned into a peerless sword light that could split the moon in half. Sword aura shot out from Lin Xian's palm, cutting down everything in its path and shattering that peerless blade light. How was this possible? Bai Tiango couldn't believe that Ziji's full-powered attack was shattered just like that. Before he could react, another sword light struck him and sent him flying. In the blink of an eye, the two great experts of the Grotto Heaven were seriously injured. This was only the second move, and it was really unbelievable. At this moment, Lin Xian's third move came out. Endless death laws filled the air, and the death aura turned into arrows of death that pierced through the entire space. No! Ziji and Bai Tiango roared crazily. Their broken bodies had just healed, and they didn't have time to escape. So they had to face such a terrifying death law. They used all their strength to resist, but they still turned into bones in an instant. The death aura disappeared, and Lin Xian stood with his hands behind his back, and two skeletons fell from the sky. Everyone was stunned. Was the battle over? Those were two experts of the grotto heaven, and they couldn't even block 3 moves from this person even after joining forces. Ants couldn't even withstand a single blow. The toad sneered at the side. The people of the grotto heaven had ugly expressions. Suddenly, an elder shouted angrily, "You're courting death." He was a middle-stage Saint King. Originally, he disdained to make a move, but now, it seemed that this was a trial for young people. But now, the prodigy was dead. He couldn't care less and attacked madly. With a single palm strike, heaven and earth shattered. It was much stronger than the combined attack of Bai Tiango and Bai Tiango. This was the power of a middle-stage Saint King. Lin Xian sneered. With a wave of his hand, the void in front of him shattered, and a black palm slapped out. It collided with his opponent's palm. With a cracking sound, 10,000 bolts of lightning streaked across the sky. Everyone's chi and blood roiled, and they could not stand steadily. The heavenly passage's elder retreated, smashing through the void. Her face was pale, and her palm was trembling. There was actually a crack on it. Damn it, what was that? His face was full of shock. He was actually able to injure him. The surrounding people were also stunned. Even a middle-stage Saint King couldn't do anything to Yi Futian. What was that claw? Was it the opponent's trump card? How could this guy be so strong? Qin Xiener and the others were stunned, and even Xueqi was stunned. What was that black claw? Why did it look like a demonic shadow? Lin Xian said, "You want to suppress me? Dream on. Let Lu Qin come out." Why? Did he not dare to come out? The surrounding people were shocked. Did he chase after Elder Lu Qin? How was that possible? Suddenly, these people were stunned. Wait, they heard a legend. Could it be that it was him again? Someone killed Bai Zhangqiang and injured Lu Qin. Was it really him? Kill. At this moment, an angry shout sounded. The sound that filled the sky turned into 81 notes that danced between heaven and earth. In an instant, they enveloped Lin Xian and wanted to kill him. Lin Xian shouted angrily, and his black palm slapped out to block them. In the sky, Elder Lu Qin's figure appeared. Her Guqin erupted again, wanting to attack. However, at this moment, a big hand came across the sky and broke heaven and earth. Below, the endless mountain range shattered, and everyone was shocked. Another expert came. Who was it? Lin Xian turned his head and looked. Lu Qin was also angry. Who dares to stop me? Between heaven and earth, a figure appeared in the sky. He was like an overlord, and with every step he took, the void would constantly split apart. At the same time, there was an extremely terrifying cold aura that made everyone's hair stand on end. Even Lu Qin's expression changed. Ming Chun. What? This person was Ming Chun. The experts in the surrounding grotto heavens were shocked, and even the elders sucked in a breath of cold air. Did he actually come here in person? This guy was ranked 3rd on the ethereal list. He was also known as the first physique. He had the physique of the king of hell. This was the king physique of the ancient race, and it was extremely terrifying. Countless people were shocked. Such an expert was much stronger than Bai Zhangqiang and Bai Tiango. Even the middle-stage elders had grave expressions on their faces. Ming Chan walked over, emitting the aura of the king of hell. He said coldly, "Elder Lu Qin, let me deal with this person." He had a trump card that could control the demonic shadow. Lu Qin frowned. Ming Chan said, "A mere demonic shadow was nothing to be afraid of." With that, he waved his hand and took out 2 demonic shadows from his storage ring. Then, he punched out. With a crack, the 2 demonic shadows were torn apart. They couldn't resist at all. So powerful. Is this the power of the king of hell? It's too terrifying. An older generation figure said. The king of hell was the essence of the ancient race's bloodline. When it matured, its potential was limitless. Perhaps only those legendary starry sky divine physiques could contend with it. However, this kid obviously didn't have it, so he would definitely die if he encountered the King of Hell. Kid, you're the one who killed Bai Zongqiu. Since you dared to kill someone on the ethereal list, I'll personally deal with you today. Ming Chen's voice was piercingly cold and filled with supreme confidence. He was ranked third on the list and was far from being comparable to Bai Zongqiu. He could kill Bai Zongqiu with a single palm strike. King of Hell. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. Interesting. You're worthy of me taking action. Lin Xian felt a powerful aura from the other party's physique. To be honest, you're not even a sage king. You're not worthy of me taking action. Buhan, since you were able to kill Bai Zongqiu, it means that you have the strength to fight those above your level. Since you're a genius, I'll make an exception and kill you personally. Everyone was in an uproar. This kid is dead for sure. That's for sure. The King of Hell's physique was extremely famous. It was ranked third among the younger generation of the ethereal peak. No matter how strong this kid is, he won't be able to resist it. Indeed, since he was able to kill Bai Zongqiu, I think he has the strength to enter the top 10 of the ethereal list. However, no matter how strong he is, he won't be able to defeat Ming Chen. This kid is going to be in danger. Yin Su's face was solemn, while Qin Xianer's face was pale. Xueqi also clenched her fists. She had heard of the legend of the King of Hell's physique for many years. Now that she saw it with her own eyes, it was indeed powerful. He wondered if Lin Xian would be able to withstand it. Chapter 45:15. She was not doubting Lin Xian. The nine-young divine body was extremely powerful. Once it was fully unleashed, its power would be endless. However, Lin Xian's cultivation was only at the Saint Venerable level, while Ming Chen was already a Saint King. He had even become a Saint King long ago. At the early stage of the Saint King realm, he was an extremely terrifying existence. There was a gap of 2 major realms between them. If they really fought, Lin Xian would probably be at a disadvantage. However, Lin Xian did not think too much about it. He was indeed surprised to meet the immemorial imperial body. In this way, he would be able to completely let go of his hands and fight a great battle. The previous battles had not been enough for him. I hope you won't disappoint me. Lin Xian took a step forward, and a golden flame bloomed from his body. This guy's physique was so strong. Could it be that he was also a body-tempering expert? The surrounding people quickly retreated. Only 2 figures were left in front of them. Lin Xian, who was like a golden god of war, and Ming Chen, who was incomparably cold, like the King of Hell. Boom! He stretched out a big hand and slapped out. A black storm blew between heaven and earth, and the world trembled, destroying everything. Buzz! Lin Xian also slapped out with his palm, and the vast world was like the sun. The 2 palms collided in the sky, and the 2 forces tore everything apart. They were in a stalemate in the sky. So strong, he blocked it. The people from the grotto heavens went crazy. This was the immemorial imperial body, and Ming Chen's cultivation was at the early stage of the Saint King realm, 2 realms higher than his opponent. Now, the strength of the 2 sides was actually equal. Could it be that this kid's physique surpassed Ming Chen's? They did not dare to imagine. Ming Chen's face also became cold, and he no longer had the smile from before. No wonder your physique is so mysterious. It can actually compete with my King of Hell's body. I just don't know how many moves you can take. He was completely enraged now. After his palm landed, he kicked out. The King of Hell's law kept spinning, and the rotating power made the kick seem like a high-speed long sword, piercing through heaven and earth. As expected of the King of Hell's body, it could turn into a terrifying weapon to attack with a raise of its hand. Lin Xian roared, and the man-ruler seal slammed out with his hand, shattering the wildlands. As the kick was deflected, the surrounding void began to shatter. Meanwhile, the place where he stood was completely unaffected, a region of heaven and earth frozen. Boom! In the next moment, he charged out. The 2 of them fought fiercely. Everywhere they passed, the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. Over 10,000 mountains collapsed. Wherever he passed, nothing could stop him. The physiques of these 2 people were really too strong. Countless people were shocked. An early-stage Saint King would probably not even be able to withstand a single punch from him. Those from the ethereal peak had ugly looks on their faces. There was actually someone who could compete with their first question. Who was this person? That's enough. I've run out of patience. I'll get rid of you now. Ming Chun snorted coldly. Now that he was really angry, he did not intend to hold back anymore. Hell King's scythe. A terrifying Nether King aura emerged from his body, forming a sickle. The scythe was 100 meters tall, like a black mountain. It was held in his hand and slashed down. The entire world was split in half. Boom! Lin Xian struck out with the man-ruler seal again, pressing forward with indomitable will, shattering everything. Ming Chen retreated, his face pale. The Nether King's vase. He formed a seal with both hands, and a black vase appeared, with a monstrous aura, sweeping out. This power was too strong, and it was very cold. It was as if an ancient Nether King had been resurrected. Lin Xian shouted coldly. The mountain-embracing seal. Between heaven and earth, the primordial demon mountain was about to fall. At the same time, he struck out with the invincible sword. The mountain-embracing seal blocked the Nether King's vase. The invincible sword slashed at Ming Chun, sending him flying. A sword mark appeared on Ming Chen's body, and blood flowed out. It was black blood, and it was abnormally terrifying. Was he injured? Countless people exclaimed. The people from the ethereal peak went crazy. What kind of power could defeat the immemorial imperial body? How dare you hurt me? You're courting death. Ming Chun roared crazily, and the nether sea surged around him. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Terrifying sword intent appeared on his body one after another. With an angry roar, the sword chi fell with an incomparable aura, as if it was indestructible. The inextinguishable sword. This sword illuminated heaven and earth and turned into eternity. The Nether King was furious. Another roar sounded, and he attacked crazily. The sky was filled with black aura. It was as if black clouds were pressing down on the city, and two black dragons charged out. Boom, boom, boom. Both of them dissipated between heaven and earth at the same time. Damn it. Ming Chen's expression was ugly. For the first time, he felt defeated. One had to know that he was ranked third in the ethereal peak, and his physique was even stronger. He was known as the first physique. There were only two people who could defeat him. But now, there was someone who could compete with him and even hurt him. More importantly, the other party's cultivation was weaker than his. He couldn't stand it. You want to compete with me? You will die without a doubt. Ming Chen roared, but Lin Xian snorted coldly. My sword is indestructible and illuminates eternity. With a roar, the sword chi that had dissipated suddenly emitted an incomparable light. It turned into a divine rainbow, becoming the only one in heaven and earth. At the same time, an extremely terrifying dragon roar sounded from above. Slash! Lin Xian roared angrily, and the power of the great dragon's sword soul surged out with the indestructible will, slashing down from the sky. Boom! The world in front of him shattered and turned into nothingness. The earth split open, and tens of thousands of mountains collapsed, filling the air with dust. The surrounding people felt a chill in their hearts. If it were them, they wouldn't have been able to escape from the sword just now. They wondered how Ming Chun was doing. Could he block it? Everyone was extremely nervous, especially the people of Ethereal Peak. Black blood spilled between heaven and earth, and an arm fell from the sky. Ming Chun was injured. Countless people exclaimed. Ming Chen's body was stained with black blood, and one of his arms was missing. His face became extremely ferocious. He was injured. He had been severely injured by the attack just now. The surrounding people were dumbfounded, and the people of Ethereal Peak almost fainted from shock. They knew very well how terrifying the King of Hell Physique was, but at this moment, he was no match for the other party. Damn kid, how dare you hurt me? I will make you regret it. I will make you wish you were dead. Ming Chun roared crazily. Let me show you my true unique skill. God of Hell Incantation. As he roared crazily, the black laws on his body quickly swept out. Between heaven and earth, countless black river Styx surged, and the entire place turned into hell. Was he going to use this unique skill? The people of Ethereal Peak were also shocked. Elder Lucine and the others also looked solemn. One had to know that only the top 2 people could make the other party use the God of Hell incantation. Now that the other party had used it, it meant that there were no other methods that could threaten him. Between heaven and earth, the black lightning condensed into an illusory figure that appeared behind him. He held the God of Hell's treasure bottle in his hand and looked extremely mysterious. Ming Chen's aura also increased greatly. His broken arm recovered again. His eyes were wide open, as if the God of Hell had come back to life. Chapter 45:16. The people in the surroundings were frightened, and they kept retreating. At the same time, in the distant void, countless blade lights condensed and slashed everything. A mysterious man descended. He carried a long blade on his back, and the blade wheel on his body was extremely terrifying. At this moment, he was looking down at the battle in the distance. He even used the God of Underworld art? Has he already reached such a stage? It's really hard to imagine. However, when he thought about it, this battle should be over. Once he used the God of Underworld art, that lad wouldn't be able to resist it. The peerless expert said calmly. Boom. Along with Ming Chen's movement, the God of Underworld image that condensed behind him also walked out. The black bottle in his hand was aimed at Lin Xian, and a terrifying aura appeared and formed a black ball of light. It seemed as if it could destroy the world. This aura was really terrifying, and it could even threaten a middle-stage Saint King. Not good. Xueqi's expression changed drastically. Its power was really too strong. Even her nine body could feel a great threat. Endless black frost appeared on his body, and it seemed as if it could freeze everything. She tried to resist this power. At the same time, she looked at Lin Xian, and her eyes were filled with worry. She didn't know whether Lin Xian could resist it. The toad's eyes also widened, and it secretly used the law. As long as the situation wasn't right, it would immediately take action. Is he going to risk his life? When Lin Xian sensed the terrifying aura and the God of Underworld image in front of him, he took a deep breath. Since you have the Taigu Imperial body, I will use my physique to deal with you. Lin Xian withdrew the sword energy that filled the sky, and at this moment, he fully activated the Nine-Yang Divine Body. His originally terrifying aura became even more terrifying. Flames swept across the 9 heavens and 10 lands, and 9 suns appeared beside him. They kept rotating, and it seemed as if they wanted to illuminate everything. What a terrifying flame. This guy's physique seems to have become stronger again. Countless people were shocked. They felt their blood and chi go cold. Is he going to use his physique to deal with his opponent? Boom. Lin Xian took large strides and charged forward. With every step he took, the flames between heaven and earth kept roaring, and they turned into flaming lotuses that engulfed everything. The 9 suns around him shone brightly, and he was like a peerless sun war god. 9 suns' divine fist, splitting the heavens with a single punch. Boom, boom. Not good. Elder Lu Qin's expression changed. The people from the surrounding heavenly abodes also quickly retreated. Even the peerless swordsman who was watching the battle from afar narrowed his eyes. You want to fight me? Cultivate for another 10,000 years. Underworld god incantation. Kill. Netherworld roared madly. The underworld deity in front of him pushed out with both hands, and the bottle in his hand shot out a beam of black light. This was a destructive attack, and the other party would definitely not be able to block it. Crack. The black destructive light collided with Lin Xian's fist. An incomparable aura erupted from his body. Storms swept across the world as laws surged, as if they were about to destroy the entire world. The surrounding people all coughed up blood and were sent flying. It was so terrifying. Even the experts and elders were trying to defend themselves. Their expressions were solemn. If they allowed this guy to continue growing, once he reached the middle stage of the Saint King realm, no one would be able to suppress him. Boom. With everything over, Elder Lu Qing and the others heaved a sigh of relief. The others also shook their heads. No one could challenge the ethereal peak. However, at this moment, in the black storm, a golden flame suddenly lit up, and then it kept spreading. With a crack, the entire world was opened, as if the sun had just been born, shining on the world. The black storm and laws in the sky kept melting. The 9 suns shone on everything, and a fist pressed forward. It shattered the destructive light ball and then charged over. What? He hasn't been defeated yet. Countless people roared. Buzz. Lin Xian forcefully shattered the other party's superpower and charged in front of him. Looking at the shocked faces, he punched out again. With a boom, the underworld deity's phantom was directly destroyed. Boom, boom. Then, he waved his fist, and the 9 suns bloomed, turning into thousands of golden crows that pounced over. The front was instantly flooded. Billions of suns cracked, and the light made the surrounding people unable to open their eyes. After a long time, when the light weakened, they opened their eyes. How was the situation? Everyone looked carefully, and then they were stunned. The ground in front of them was shattered, and countless canyons were formed. A figure fell on the ground, and his body was covered in blood. Ming Chun. He was defeated, and he was seriously injured. Everyone could already see the other party's internal organs and bones. One could imagine how serious his injuries were. More importantly, they saw a figure descending from the sky. Lin Xian came to the ground. He was like a god of war. He took 3 steps and arrived in front of the other party. The immemorial imperial body was just so. At the same time, he stepped on the other party's body with 1 foot. In terms of physique, he won. The world was incomparably silent, and the scene seemed to have frozen. Everyone looked at this scene in disbelief. That was the first body of the ethereal peak. The immemorial imperial body. How could he be defeated at this moment? This can't be real, right? I'm not dreaming, right? Yin Su and Qin Xiener were dumbfounded. Xueqi's lips curled into a beautiful smile. Chapter 45:17. Buzz. A peerless blade light shot towards Lin Xian. Everyone felt their hair stand on end. Lin Xian roared, turned around, and struck out with his palm. The human sovereign seal appeared and slammed into the blade light, emitting an earth-shattering aura. His arm was numb from the impact. So strong. This person's strength is above dark stars. Lu Qin and the others exclaimed. Tyranny, you're here too? Great. Quickly save Dark Star. Tyranny? Could it be that he's the second-ranked tyranny of Misty Peak? He's known as the #1 blade. The top 3 of Misty Peak were extremely terrifying, simply unparalleled, and these 3 had their own unique characteristics, known as the #1 eye, the #1 blade, and the #1 body. The #1 body was Dark Star, the immemorial king body, the king of hell body. The #1 blade was even higher than his opponents. One could imagine how terrifying his blade technique was. As for the #1 Zhan Zongxing, known as the #1 eye, he was even more terrifying. He cultivated a pair of mystical eye techniques. With a glance, no one could resist. At this moment, the #1 blade tyranny arrived, shocking everyone. Dark Star, you're really a piece of trash. You've disgraced Misty Peak. Tyranny descended from the sky. He stepped in the air like a peerless blade god. Dark Star was about to vomit blood. This guy still has the mood to make sarcastic remarks? He gritted his teeth and roared. Don't say anything else. Let me out first. I owe you a favor. Kid, let him go. Tyranny looked at Lin Xian with an order in his eyes. Elder Lu Qin waved her hand. As long as she gave the order, the experts of the surrounding grotto heavens would attack crazily. At that time, the opponent would definitely die. Facing such a dangerous situation, Lin Xian was not afraid. He snorted and waved his hand. 6 demonic shadows appeared, surrounding him, emitting a monstrous aura. They roared towards the sky, shaking the 9 heavens. What is this? Damn it, it's the demonic shadows. What is this guy trying to do with them? Lu Qin exclaimed, Everyone be careful. This guy can control the demonic shadows. Hearing the elder's words, the surrounding people went crazy, controlling the demonic shadows. Who the hell was this guy? Release Ming Chun, and we won't do anything to you this time. Elder Lu Qin said coldly. She knew that the other party was incomparably arrogant. Previously, he had killed Bai Zhangqiang under her threat. If he killed Ming Chun this time, they wouldn't be able to bear the loss. Tyranny's expression turned cold. Of the 6 demonic shadows, 2 of them gave off an aura that made his hair stand on end. Clearly, that was a mid-stage Saint King. If they really fought, it would be very easy for this kid to escape. Besides, who knew if this guy had more demonic shadows? The atmosphere froze for a moment. Although he was surrounded by hundreds of experts, Lin Xian was not afraid. On the other hand, Ethereal Peak dared not act rashly for fear of breaking the vases. The Snow Queen's lips curled into a smile when she saw this. Great. It seems like Lin Xian isn't in any danger. Boom. Boom. Right at this moment, the Universal Palace in front of them suddenly emitted a vibrating sound, attracting everyone's attention. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Ming Chun, who was being stepped on, roared. Ignoring the damage to his life, he split open his body and turned into countless underworld rivers, escaping in all directions. "Wanna run?" Lin Xian snorted and punched. "Save me, quick!" His voice rang out. Tyranny's sword slashed down and collided with Lin Xian's fist, creating a deafening sound. Lin Xian's fist was blocked. This is a good opportunity. Seeing that Ming Chun had escaped, Elder Lu Qing sneered. The surrounding people wanted to attack. Lin Xian snorted. The 6 demonic shadows roared towards the sky, releasing a terrifying aura. Even more roars came from the distance. Not good. There are more demonic shadows coming. This guy isn't going to summon an army of demonic shadows, is he? For a moment, everyone's scalp went numb. Tyranny also said, Elder Lu Qing, let this kid go first. We'll go to the Universal Temple first. Kid, you're lucky. We'll spare your life this time. If you meet us again, you'll definitely die. Tyranny looked at Lin Xian with killing intent. Then, he turned around and left quickly with his people. Seeing that Misty Peak had left, the people in the surrounding grotto heavens naturally wouldn't attack. They also took a deep breath and led their own teams, preparing to explore the Universal Temple. Great! Qin Xiener, Xue Qi, and the others secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Toad also said, You scared me to death. I thought I'd have to run away again. Indeed, with so many experts fighting, they couldn't resist at all. They could only escape. However, if they wanted to escape, these people wouldn't be able to hurt them. Lin Xian snorted. I'll remember the first slash. Sooner or later, I'll step on you too. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. With a wave of his hand, he collected the 6 demonic shadows. Let's go to the Universal Temple. He turned into a ray of light and flew forward. In front of him, those people had already arrived at the Universal Temple. They wanted to enter, but they were pushed back by a force. Many people vomited blood, and some of them even had their bodies pierced. Damn it, there's a seal. We can't enter. Since we're already here, how can we retreat? Everyone, let's attack together. Some experts roared. They gathered several forces and attacked fiercely. Countless experts attacked together. This force was really too terrifying. Heaven and earth were shattered. However, the Universal Temple was safe and sound. Damn it, we can't break it. Can we only watch and not enter? The surrounding people gritted their teeth. What's going on? Toad also frowned. Chapter 45:18. The first eye, Zhan Songsheng, wore a Taoist robe, as if an immortal had descended. His face was handsome, and his black hair danced wildly. His eyes were even more bizarre than before. Everyone was stunned. They only knew that Zhan Songsheng's eye technique was terrifying, but no one had truly seen his eyes before. Only a very small number of people had seen it. Now that they saw it, they were all stunned. Lin Xian was also stunned. White eyes. That's right, the other party's eyes didn't seem to have black pupils, only white. It was abnormally strange, making one's scalp tingle. What strange eyes, Lin Xian was surprised. Toad also exclaimed. This was spirit-extinguishing eyes. What were spirit-extinguishing eyes? Were they very powerful? Lin Xian asked. They were also the legendary eyes, incomparably magical. With a glance, they could destroy all life. With his current strength, he could destroy a world with just a glance. So powerful. Lin Xian was surprised. He remembered this name. As expected of Misty Peak, there were indeed many experts. First, there was the immemorial imperial body, then there was the peerless swordsman, and now there was a terrifying eye technique. But he didn't know where this guy got the confidence to break the seal ahead. Relying on his eye technique? The others were also puzzled. Zhang Songxing was incomparably powerful, sweeping through everything. But no matter how strong he was, he couldn't be stronger than so many of them working together, right? If they couldn't do anything, what exactly did the other party rely on? Tyranny's elder Lu Qin walked over. Should they join forces? Zhang Songxing shook his head. No need. I have my own way. Saying so, he waved his hand. His storage ring flashed, and a bronze key appeared in his hand. What was this? Everyone was surprised. Lin Xian exclaimed. The other party also had a bronze key, and from the looks of it, it was different from the two he had obtained. Could this be the key to opening Heavenly Palace? This was? Elder Lu Qin was also surprised. Zhang Songxing said that without the key, you can't enter, so only I can open Heavenly Palace. Should they clear the place? Tyrannical ambition looked around with a biting cold gaze. It seemed that they didn't plan to let anyone else enter. However, Zhang Songxing smiled. No need. Although I can open Heavenly Palace, no one knows what's inside. Wouldn't it be better to let these people scout the way for us? True. Tyranny smiled. Even if these people went in and found any treasures, they could take it away. Everything would belong to Misty Peak. Since they had made their decision, Elder Lu Qing and the others did not say anything else. They moved to the side and waited quietly. Zhang Songshang took a deep breath and looked forward with his pale eyes. Then, he injected the law into the bronze key. The bronze key shone brightly and floated forward. With a cracking sound, it disappeared in front of him. The Universal Palace started to spin as the seal was broken. A desolate aura spread out from the Universal Palace in all directions. It the Songxing, heavens, it. Songxing, heavens. Behind him, Lin Xian also took a deep breath. Since the other party had opened the Universal Palace, it meant that the key in his hand was to open another place. Could it was heavens? This is getting more and more interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I hope it won't disappoint me. His eyes flashed. Then, he followed the others and flew forward. The Grotto Heaven and Ancient Race experts couldn't wait any longer. As soon as the array formation was activated, they rushed in. Screams could be heard as soon as they entered. Some were turned into blood mist. Some were seriously injured and flew back. What happened? The surrounding people were all stunned. They didn't dare to move forward rashly. They were all bewildered. Stupid. Zhang Songxing stood in the air with his hands behind his back. Although he was the one who opened Heavenly Palace, he didn't move immediately. Elder Lu Qing smiled. It seemed that letting them in was the right choice. At least, we know that not everyone can explore this place. The rest of us shouldn't have any problems. The other old man turned around and looked at the surroundings. Those from the ethereal peak who had come were all experts among experts. However, Tyranny frowned and looked at Darkstar. He said, "You're seriously injured. I think you should stay outside." "Damn it. You dare to look down on me." Darkstar roared, his face cold. "I'm already recovering. I'm fine. I hope so." Tyranny said coldly, "Don't lose again. Don't embarrass Misty Peak." Darkstar didn't say anything. Losing to Lin Xian really made him lose face. However, Lin Xian's physique was definitely terrifying. It must be the legendary physique. He wasn't sure yet, but no matter what, she would take revenge. The other Grotto Heavens also began to discuss. Clearly, Heavenly Palace wasn't a place that anyone could enter. Those who were weak shouldn't go. Soon, the elders of Purple Spirit Grotto Heaven and White Cloud Grotto Heaven said, "We've already explored. Those below Holy King should stay outside." Those above Holy King, follow me. Yes, those people agreed. Some young geniuses looked gloomy. They were half-step Holy Kings. They were originally dazzling geniuses in the grotto heavens. After all, they were only 1 or 2,000 years old. Their future was limitless. However, in such a dangerous situation, no one cared if you were a young genius or an expert of the older generation. Everything was based on strength and cultivation. Many people stayed. They were unwilling, but they had no choice. The aura inside was enough to destroy them. As for the Holy Kings, they all prepared to move. Qin Xianer and Insu also stayed. On the other side, Xueqi met up with the elders of Thousand Mountain Grotto Heaven and prepared to enter. At the same time, she transmitted her voice to Lin Xian, telling him to be careful. Lin Xian replied, "I'm fine. Don't worry about me. You should be careful." Then, the Holy Kings of the Grotto Heavens started to enter, followed by the people of Misty Peak. After the people of Misty Peak entered, Lin Xian and the Toad also started to move. They also entered Heavenly Palace. When Lin Xian stepped into Heavenly Palace, he felt an extremely ancient aura sweeping toward him as if it was going to penetrate his body. No wonder those people were injured before. This pressure was unbearable for those below Holy King. Although he was only a holy venerable, Lin Xian's physique was extremely strong. He snorted coldly, and the power of his divine body erupted, blocking the pressure. He turned his head and found that the toad beside him had disappeared. Did it contain the law of space? It seemed that these people weren't necessarily together. He didn't need to worry about the toad. The toad was knowledgeable and had its own means. It was absolutely safe. Let's see what was so magical about this place first. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps came from ahead. Lin Xian was very alert. Someone is coming. Who is it? Chapter 45:19. Lin Xian's eyes emitted a golden radiance that penetrated the surrounding fog. In the next moment, he was taken aback. It was Xueqi. He saw a peerless woman walking toward him with an ancient sword on her back. After Xueqi walked over, she looked at Lin Xian and smiled. She sped up and came to Lin Xian's side. She then opened her arms. Lin Xian also smiled. However, in the next moment, his pupils contracted. He felt a great power collide with his body and send him flying. His battle robe was torn apart, and there was a mark on his divine body. "Did you attack me?" Lin Xian was infuriated. In the next moment, his pupils contracted. "You aren't Xueqi." His eyes emitted a terrifying radiance, and Lin Xian shot out a beam of sword energy toward his opponent. The sword energy was peerless, and it carried a dragon's roar as it hacked his opponent into two halves. Xueqi's illusory image turned into a dense fog and dissipated. Illusion techniques are so powerful that they even managed to deceive me. Lin Xian was startled, as expected of something created by a great emperor. Even though he possessed the heavenly secret divine eyes, he was still affected by it. Lin Xian didn't dare to be careless, and he used the heavenly secret divine eyes with his full power as he walked forward. The fog in front of him became thicker, and after he walked for a while, the fog started becoming thinner. Moreover, he also heard sounds. They weren't sounds of fighting, but sounds of laughter and talking. Lin Xian was startled. There are so many people here. What's going on? He sped up. In the next instant, he passed through the fog. The sun rose in the surroundings, and its radiance shone in all directions. Lin Xian discovered that he had come to a small town. Where is this? Lin Xian was startled. Although the sun was high in the sky, his whole body felt ice cold. He shouldn't have left the Universal Palace, as he didn't sense any spatial power. This meant that he was still in the Universal Palace. However, the changes in his surroundings, as well as Xueqi's phantom, caused Lin Xian to take a deep breath. This is also an illusion technique. Did I just walk into a giant illusion technique? He pushed his heavenly secret god eyes to the extreme, and golden light shone in all directions. However, he couldn't tell at all. It was as if this was a real world. What kind of method was this? If this was the real world, this would be acceptable. If it was an illusion, Lin Xian didn't dare to imagine it. How powerful was the person who created this illusion? It was definitely not a sage king. It was at least a great sage. It might even have been created by the heaven and earth emperor. In the small town ahead, some youths looked in the direction of Lin Xian and discussed among themselves. Lin Xian walked over and asked, "Where's this place?" The eyes of those youths suddenly shone with a shocking light, and they stabbed towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian was shocked. What a terrifying eye technique. Were these youths really that terrifying? Golden light appeared in his eyes, blocking the eye technique of his opponent. In the next moment, his face sank, and a terrifying law was used. The expressions of the youths changed, and they all ran away, even throwing their kites to the ground. Not long after, a middle-aged man walked over. The middle-aged man took a step forward with a majestic gait and arrived in front of Lin Xian. "Why did Tianlin come so late? Come back with me. Have you finished your mission?" After saying that, he grabbed Lin Xian's arm, and an extremely cold light bloomed in his eyes. It was actually a golden rune. Lin Xian felt that his soul was about to be controlled, and his memories were about to be changed. It was as if he was about to become the heavenly forest that the other party spoke of. In the next moment, the power of the heavenly secret god eyes erupted, and a golden light appeared in his eyes, blocking the other party. He snorted coldly, and his divine body shook, blasting the other party's hand away. The middle-aged man's expression changed drastically, and his pupils constricted. In the next moment, he smiled. "Sorry, I got the wrong person. I thought you were a disciple of the Heavenly Secret Clan. May I know who you are?" The Heavenly Secret Clan. Lin Xian was stunned. "You're from the Heavenly Secret Clan?" He was really too shocked. One had to know that his eyes were the Heavenly Secret God eyes, and it was given to him by the Heavenly Secret Clan. He didn't expect to see someone from the Heavenly Secret Clan. Was this really an illusion, or had he come to a strange world? Lin Xian felt that he couldn't tell. Moreover, the people here were very strange. Previously, this person had clearly wanted to control his soul. If he didn't have the Heavenly Secret God eyes, his memories would have been changed. Perhaps he would stay here for the rest of his life. Apart from him, did anyone else come in? If the others didn't have powerful eye techniques, would they be able to resist? He wondered how Xueqi was doing. He was a little worried. At this moment, the middle-aged man in front of him asked again. Lin Xian came back to his senses and said, "Yes, that's right. I'm from the outside world. Is this where the Heavenly Secret Clan lives?" The middle-aged man nodded. "That's right. This is where the Heavenly Secret Clan lives. Very few outsiders can come here. I didn't expect you to come. It's fate that you're here. You can walk around by yourself. Don't hurt anyone from the Heavenly Secret Clan." The middle-aged man left, and Lin Xian started to walk around. He discovered that the town was bigger than he had imagined, and there were even other cities outside of the town. On the other side, after Xueqi came in, she walked with the others. She passed through the fog alone and came to the front. She also found a town. The people in the town berated her and called her Tianqi.